Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's the moment you have been waiting for. The boys are back. Brian H., welcome back to the show, buddy.
I'm back.
But guess what? Just because Brian H. is back, it doesn't mean a shenanigan will not continue.
Bow down to the King.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to the Wrestling Wrealm Now. And guess what? Don't fix your TVs. Don't adjust your screens. He's back in the building. Brian H., welcome back to work, buddy.
Well. It feels so good to be back. You know, I was out doing famous people things. You feel me? Since I'm famous now. Brother Hugh started something. So, you know, shout out to my sister for these nice, cool shades. So, you know, I was traveling. I was in Nashville. Woo! Then I went jet flying from Nashville, came back to Baltimore, had to wash the clothes, throw it in another bag, and then headed straight to the great city of Las Vegas, Nevada, SummerSlam, NABJ, NAHJ, and now I'm back. But you know, it feels so good to be back with my brothers because I was listening to y'all while I was in the airport. I was listening to y'all while I was on a plane, and I tell you, I was cracking up. I was like, you ever notice like when you listen to a show, you want to be a part of it so bad, but then you be like, yeah, this is my point. I would say something, but you can't because it's on demand. That's how I felt. So I gotta give y'all while I'm rolling around. Man, y'all did such a great job. Not that I ain't think, because that's what we do. As the great Mr. Wickham would say, we preach excellence here. Shout out to him. He asked about you too, Realness.
Top dog, what's up, baby? I'll be hitting you up soon. Like he's watching the show. Like he's really
right.
Hey,
you never know, right? Yeah.
Hey, because probably not, because he about to jet set somewhere else. But yeah, so you know, it felt good. It felt real good to hear y'all and just to see, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, boom, social media clip, boom, social media clip. Oh snap, this is hilarious. Wow, this is funny. Man, I was marking out.
Well, listen, I hope you guys put your coffee on, and you're going to need all the energy because we have a lot to unpack today. We got a lot to get into. We got a lot to dissect in true realm fashion. So here it goes. Wait for it. Welcome to the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast, where we take a deeper dive into the world of professional wrestling. Now, you can watch our flagship show, The Wrestling Wrealm, and other shows such as Wrestling for the Culture, Break It Down with Brian H., and other content anytime on youtube.com/The Wrestling Wrealm, where myself, the real Dwayne Allen, Brian H., and Brother Hugh explore many topics and try to educate and give a different perspective on many things in the world of professional wrestling. I am the real Dwayne Allen. That, my friends, is Brian H. Waters. Oops, I pointed to the wrong side. It says that way. That's Brian H. Waters. And right there is Brother Hugh, H to the A, to the S, to the T, to the H, to the E, to the 3, to the R, to the D. Follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Wrestling Wrealm. Spell Realm with a W. It's a W in front of the R. Like, subscribe, and engage in the conversation with us. You can also stream and download all our audio content on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. You can watch us and subscribe to our Twitch channel at The Wrestling Wrealm. Also, if you want to support us, go to shop now at WrestlingWrealm.com. There it is. I couldn't get my words out. There it is. For all new Wrestling Wrealm merchandise, shirts, hoodies, mugs, all that good stuff. As the seasons change, we will also be updating and releasing new gear. So if you want to support us and do what we do and dress like us, by all means, shop now at WrestlingWrealm.com. Also, subscribe to our Patreon page at patreon.com/the_wrestling_realm. No, the wrestling_realm, where you'll see exclusive content from myself, mostly from Brian H. Waters, but eventually, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Realness Reacts is coming soon. Can you believe it? But now the logistics are out the way, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Brian H.,
Yes, sir.
We've got some catching up to do, brother. It's good to have you back. But guess what? I hate to have to put your brain to work so hard, but now we got to really take a deep dive in what's going on. I want to give a special shout out to brother Brandon Guy, who joined us last week, myself and brother Hugh on Wrestling Wrealm Now, to give his insight on everything we talked about. We had a good time. It was catching up. Like I said, we're on this homecoming kick right now. We're going back in time, but we're going back to bring some of those things to the past and bring them to today.
I have to say that was a pleasant surprise. I turned on the show, and it was Wednesday. So where was I? I don't remember where I was at that point. But I like tuned in real quick. I was, I was in because of the time difference. So I was somewhere probably hanging out with other journalists, right? So I was like,
Okay,
let me check on around real quick. And got to do the retweets and all this stuff. I was like, oh snap, they got Big Guy Award. Oh snap. I was marking out. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, yo, I was like, how did he didn't even say nothing in the chat? I was like, oh, this is good. This is good. So I was like, I know this is gonna be a good show, especially like just listening to y'all going back and forth. And like you was like, now Brandon, you don't give WWE credit for nothing, and so stuff like that. But man, like I said, it was just totally incredible. And let's say this right now, right here, where everybody can hear it. The real belt king, because I guarantee you nobody else got more belts than Brandon.
Brandon has 117 belts and counting. Not to mention all the ones he's actually given away or have gotten rid of.
Bingo.
That is true.
I got like 6 of them from him.
Bro,
that's a good brother right there.
He's talking about 117 belts, but definitely thanks, brother. We will definitely do this again. Also, so like I said, we got a lot to get into today, and we will in a second. But just quickly, what you guys watched this week? Now, I outside of weekly content, because trust me, we're gonna get into all that. But outside of the everyday weekly content, what did you guys get into this week? I'll go ahead and say right now, I personally took time to go back and watch all these NXT takeover matches. I went back to appreciate the realness, the greatness of Triple H and what he has done. And I sit there and I say to myself, you know what? Old NXT was really goddamn good. But I just, there's a certain nostalgia in the air that's got me, kind of going back and looking at some of these old matchups that we may see as new future matchups. So that's what I kind of got into this week. It was a YouTube heavy week for me. How about you guys?
Well, I started watching just like old Attitude clips of Triple H and whatnot. But then I was going to eventually, it's supposed to end up going to Takeover or NXT. But right now I stumbled across his match on Saturday Night Shotgun in a Continental title with Undertaker. And they were fighting like in the subway or whatnot.
Subway, yeah, that was like a pilot episode, I think. It was something crazy.
Yeah, and they tombstone Triple H on the escalators, and they kind of like rode down the escalator or whatnot.
Can I say that's always my fear?
Being tombstone on the escalator?
Falling down. But Triple H made it look like he made it look so safe.
He did.
Like he's so smooth. Like if I ever want to tumble down the escalator, I want to go like that.
Well, Triple H is a professional. What about you, Brian H? What did you get into outside of the current weekly content that we usually consume? Did you watch anything extra? I know you was on the road. You were celebrating a birthday. You were doing all kinds of stuff. Did you watch anything outside of what we saw Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, whatever these shows come on?
Actually, so like yesterday, on Mac Mania, we we finished with Jack's top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. And when he said Goldberg, everybody's like, wait, what? Goldberg's in a top 10 list? In my juice favorites, I've been getting a lot of smoke because none of us had Shawn Michaels, none of us had Undertaker, none of us had Kane, none of us had Kurt Angle. But what was funny was, when he brought up Goldberg, I said, you know what? My favorite Goldberg match is the one with him and Hogan. Is it a 5-star match? No, but it's that moment, right?
In the Georgia Dome?
In the Georgia Dome, baby.
Okay.
And I'm a broadcast nerd. The thing I love about that, and it's something I do secretly in my head that I'm gonna reveal. Every time I get on a plane, right, and the things start moving and it's on takeoff, I suddenly hear Bobby the Brain Heenan saying, "Gentlemen, start your engines."
Wow,
that's what he did that night in the Georgia Dome before the match. The crowd is going wild. Bobby Heenan has that call. And man, it's just, it's about the home run calls for me. Finish him off. Like it felt real. Like I said, people can feel how they want about Goldberg. You can feel about how you want about Hogan. But when I go back and look at that match, it's something I always like watching just because the way the Georgia Dome exploded. And I understand it should have been on pay-per-view and all that stuff. But the way the Georgia Dome exploded and Bobby Heenan's call because it was like that desperation. Like, if he can't take out Hulk Hogan, nobody can. And it was Goldberg that did it. So that's what I went and rewatched yesterday and today. I watched it twice.
The crazy part is we could really sit here and dissect that whole dynamic of everything, especially with new information in regards to Eric Bischoff and his comments as to why that match took place on television rather than pay-per-view. But we're not here for that today because we have way too much. Like I said, last week we kind of went over it with about a 2-hour show. It might be another one of those shows. We'll see. We'll see how far we can get to this. But I'll say this as we stop and we pause, we take a moment. I'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Judo Gene LaBelle, who just recently passed away as of this recording. At the age of slips my mind. It was 83 or 84. I just know he was. He lived a very long life and a very productive life. And we knew, of course, way before our generation, but we learned of Gene LaBelle, during Daniel Bryan's major runs because of when he had the what was before the Yes Lock. It was the LaBelle Lock, and Daniel Bryan often, by him being one of our favorites, he would always talk about the importance of Gene LaBelle and just, his style and what we learned from him. But, we definitely want to acknowledge him today as far as being part of the wrestling community. So if you guys don't mind, just take this a moment of silence to acknowledge the transition of Gene LaBelle. All right. Thank you all for your sensitivity. Now, on a lighter note, we got a lot of things going on right now in the world of professional wrestling. But first, we got to take care of home, right? We got to take care of our own people. So I'd also be remiss if I didn't acknowledge our good brother and friend of the program, Dr. D. Daryl Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Dr. D. For those that don't know, Dr. D has been recently been named after an award. He's had an award named after him in CCW. In Capital Championship Wrestling, which is an all-women's promotion. If you don't know about it, they decided.
Brother, the owner, Moncello from D-Line.
Yeah, we've got history with him. We've gone back. He was one of the first talents that we got a chance to rub elbows with in Ring of Honor, and in its transition to Sinclair Broadcasting years. But yes, they named it the Dr. D Memorial Award at Capital Championship Wrestling. Let me go ahead and read what it says about this award and why it was named after Dr. D in the first place. It says CCW is excited to present an award of excellence and gratitude to Dr. D. Daryl Johnson. Behind the scenes, Dr. D has been a fixture in the industry for over 15 years as a creator, executive producer, commentator, and reporter. He has showcased the best of the best in pro wrestling throughout the country, from Hall of Fame legends to lesser-known future talents, as well as supported and sponsored countless events up and down the East Coast. Because of his countless contributions over the years, Dr. D is what we consider an unsung hero in the business. The Dr. D Memorial Award will be given each year to a person who has given tirelessly to our sport behind the scenes without gratitude and recognition they deserve. Dr. D is more than happy to accept this inaugural award and honored to share the same distinguished recognition with future recipients. And this is a photo of Dr. D receiving his award, and just as this is some pictures he took courtesy of J. Lee Photography. But definitely congratulations to you, Dr. D. We always, anytime we have a chance to give you your flowers, we always try to do so. And I definitely want this clipped off for social media. So just so we openly recognize them. We talk about people behind closed doors. We should reward them just as much openly. And definitely just want to give a special acknowledgement to Capital Championship Wrestling, as well as Dr. D and all his contributions to the business and all he's done for us and so many others that have come behind him. So yeah, just want to be gracious enough. So now that we got all this stuff out the way, we've done all the mature things. Let's get down to business. Brothers, now we're all in the group now. We got to go back to the council style way of doing things. We've got some things to address. Tonight's episode, and I strategically put it together this way because we have to do because we have not done the flagship show in so long, right? We have not been able to go into depth in education, right? The thing that we're known for doing, giving people a new perspective on what's really going on and a way to kind of look at stuff from a different perspective. That's what we got to do. And I think tonight's that night that we get a chance to do that. So I titled this show Storytelling at its Best because all week we've been watching the product and this revival of storytelling and this serial-like old school soap opera way of developing stories on our WWE television is something we have not seen in years, but apparently it's back. But before we get into that, there's some other things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start first and foremost to say that did you guys watch AEW Dynamite tonight?
Sure did. It was on. I was working on stuff, but it was on.
It was.
I was about to say the same thing. It was on. I was moving around, making some moves, but yeah,
it was in Minnesota, Quake by the Lake, I believe. Yeah, Quake
by the
Lake. It's funny how AEW usually has these themes for their regular shows, but the biggest thing I can say is CM Punk return, right?
Yeah.
CM Punk was sidelined with a foot injury, and he had to have surgery that kept him out for a short amount of time, and they have they decided to crown an interim AEW World Heavyweight Champion, which they did, and Jon Moxley, and they've been teasing it a little bit as if Jon Moxley doesn't like the term interim. Even Jim Ross is getting into it with Tony Schiavone, and I believe Excalibur that was up there, or might have been Taz. I'm not really sure, but they were getting into like, I don't think I like the term of this interim. He's the man. If he's here and he's the guy, right? And then all of a sudden, CM Punk returns tonight. What do you guys think about CM Punk returning first and foremost before we really dig in anything? That seems to be the highlight of the show, but CM Punk returning, what does that mean for AEW, especially in a time like this? Talk to your boy.
They
Brian
needed
H.
it. My fault. But they needed
go ahead.
They needed it big time.
Talk to me,
Tell
me what that means. This is why I'm asking you, right? Because this is the education show. We've seen everything we've been saying, right, brother? Break it down for them.
Yep.
Why does AEW need this?
Man, with all these moves that Triple H is making right now, they
Bingo.
need to come back. They need to come back with a counter move. And that's the best they can do right now, as of right now.
Okay.
And AEW's been, to me, it's been kind of dry or kind of just like steady.
Yeah.
Plateauing.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed something to kind of just give them that extra little jump, that extra little heartbeat.
Sure.
And that was perfect for them right now. So now you could put this interim championship hoopla to rest. You can figure out that situation. Now you have a new storyline. How are you going to fix that?
Sure.
So they needed it, definitely.
I definitely thought you was gonna say how you gonna carry it. But in all seriousness, I sit back and I watch this, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, you know what? I agree with Brother Hugh. They do need it. You look at everything that's going on, and we've been hearing the stuff about like the TV deals and Time Warner. They got to show like, look, we can draw ratings. They can't even like, are they hitting the millions? And while I may not be the biggest CM Punk fan, I liked him more back in 2011 and 2012. But there's a fan base out there that do like him. There's a fan base that's, excited about Punk. So let's get, I was talking to somebody last week at NABJ. It's like, Punk is just an entrance. He's an entrance and it's clobbering time, and that's it. The ring work, it ain't what it used to be. But for the sake of it, people go tune in. So I think it came at the right time because everybody knows WWE is dialing up the pressure. Triple H is like, you remember when he cut that promo? I think it was against CM Punk where he said, "This all one day will be mine." Mm-hmm. And he said he's had these ideas, and NXT was his training ground, right? Where we saw, like, you went back and watched all the takeovers. You saw how good those shows was. I believe you said a few weeks ago that there would be times where we wouldn't think the takeover would be good. We like, and then they would go tear the house down, right? So that's what I'm expecting. Monday Night Raw and SmackDown has been must-see TV. Even not getting a chance to watch it live, but I watched both Raws live, but like SmackDown, and I go back and watch. I was like, wow, this was really freaking good. Now, because now we're at that point that we don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't know who's coming back, and that was what tonight was. And finally, they didn't show us their hand. CM Punk will return tonight. I like that, and I want to see more of that. But can they keep it up? Because, like I said, they had to let the people know, the TV people know that they couldn't. I think it was Sting. Was it when they brought in Sting? Yeah, one of the surprises. Yeah. So that's what's going to be interesting to see. We're going to find out. Can they keep up? But yeah, this was definitely needed.
Well, there's a few other things that's been going on in AEW. Probably recently before this particular AEW Dynamite tonight. Mm-hmm. One of the major things that's been kind of running through AEW is the Undisputed Elite breakup, right? And we saw Adam Cole and Young Bucks Super Click, Adam Cole and Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, Undisputed Era, right? come together. All of a sudden, there's a breakup. Now, this is all surrounding around the new AEW Trios titles. We've had this discussion before about these titles and all these other titles, and AEW's got 50 titles. And it's funny because people used to complain about WWE having too many titles, and like AEW doesn't even have split brands. They just got one brand. They got 50 titles as well. But as I digress, Adam Cole made it very clear to the Young Bucks, you guys can't be a part of this because I can't join you. Colorado's not healthy, and you guys probably not gonna choose Bobby Fish because he's old. So you guys can't be in it. So of course the Young Bucks took offense to that. Long story short, Adam Cole took him out. He gave this whole good excellent promo. He's probably one of the best guys on the stick. Just period. So he decided to, Undisputed Era splits from the Elite. No more Undisputed Elite. They split. Right. And Hangman Page comes to save the day. What does this mean for AEW for, 5 of your top guys, in this mix that, people love to see? Now they got to break up. Do we see the return of the Elite in this? I'm noticing a tease of Kenny Omega. I don't know if they're going to waste Kenny Omega's return on Trios titles, but then again, that might be what they need in order to get this kind of over. Like it makes sense when you introduce a new title to put them on established guys. When you put it on established talent, you have a better chance of your titles being taken seriously, especially on a main event level and not necessarily on a tag team level or in a situation where they're, just kind of just a piece on the show. What do you guys think about the Undisputed Elite breaking up? Pretty much Undisputed Era and the Elite are no more.
I mean, so I guess I get it. So I missed that. That was one of the things I missed. And, I just saw the commentary, but I saw tonight and I saw them trying to, I guess, recruit Paige. And he's like, no. And I'm sitting there like, come on, Paige, get nasty. Become a heel. Like, be bad for once. Like, I'm sitting there like yelling at the TV. But I understand what you're saying. But I guess my question would be like, Kenny Omega, like, you're not putting a Trios championship on Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
No.
And isn't like Kenny Omega supposed to be like the top of the tippity top guys, they said?
Well, but you got to think about it. This is AEW. AEW historically had him as a tag team champion with Hangman Page, and he was probably the biggest star. There were 3 main stars that were wooed by WWE before AEW became a thing. It was Kenny Omega. It was the Young Bucks. They all had said that Triple H was very pleasant with them, and he offered them all lucrative deals and a space for being the Elite to be on the network, all these things, all these perks. You only get chased unless you're top guys, and yet one out of your 2 the Young Bucks were not the first tag champions, right? And Kenny Omega wasn't the first AEW champion, and he didn't compete for it for a long time. He was a tag team champion. So it's like, is this really above something AEW would do? It doesn't seem like it to me.
No, it don't. It don't, but I guess this is me being a jaded wrestling fan, because I'm wondering, like, does it make sense? Like you said, it's not something that above they would do, but it's like, once Omega gets up there, does he come back down now in this? And if that's the way they're gonna do business, by all means, it doesn't make me personally excited for those titles, because like we said, it's just too many titles. I guess I was never a big trios champion guy anyway. Like, I respected Ring of Honor, but that was a thing that made Ring of Honor unique for me as far as the American television audience. So, seeing teams like Shane Taylor Promotions, fine. But like, okay, like doing this again, granted, the belts look gorgeous. But I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. This isn't a story I really care about. And that's just me.
You notice that I was quiet.
I was about to say, brother, you seem quiet on the matter. How do you feel about the Undisputed Era and the Elite no longer being groupies, group buddies, groupie buddies?
I mean, I guess it opens up a new storyline. That's what I'm all about. Just another way to keep everybody entertained once again, because what's going on in WWE and elsewhere in the industry. Just another way to put eyes to the product, honestly. I have seen that they've been pretty much teasing Kenny Omega. I'm not sure if he'll come back to that though.
Yeah,
I think he will go straight to the top of the food chain.
Sure,
for sure. But as you made a point earlier too, because he wasn't a tag team with what's his name? Hangman Page.
Yeah, like
so
it actually
what? It actually does make sense. And then if Kenny Omega comes back, that kind of elevates the new trios championships put them out there and put them in the spotlight. Like you said, it's a beautiful belt or beautiful belts, collection of belts. But yeah, it kind of puts those over. So I could kind of see them doing that.
Right.
But honestly, it really kind of doesn't make sense to me because Kenny Omega is the man. He's supposed to be the guy. But now you have CM Punk who just came back too. So it's like, do you really need him up there right now? Depending on what's going on with this CM Punk, John Moxley / Jericho type thing. So you could throw him back down in the mid card with the Elite or whatnot. And that might actually work out. That might actually be better for him than putting him at the top of the food chain right now.
Well, of course, AEW has a lot of wrinkles to iron out, but it's in only time will tell at the end of the day. Tonight's matchups, there was a few matches that I wanted to highlight going into AEW. I think I'm going to make a positive affirmation that I'm going to try to say something positive about AEW every time we get on the show. At least one thing. See my face scratched up like this? That's my serious face. At least one thing, right?
Right.
So just to highlight a few once again, this is I'm sorry because I'm about to like bury AEW as soon as I said one positive thing.
I was watching your Twitter, bro, during the show. First of all, I was impressed that you was tweeting during the show, doing AEW.
Right. I knew we were going to discuss it tonight, so it's like here's my only problem. The build-up is always better than the matches, and I think I'm confused a lot of times, but I shouldn't be because this used to happen in TNA a lot, right? Like I'm glad that there's other wrestling out here that makes me feel like I'm not just a WWE guy because, like I said, I watched Ring of Honor for years, and it was completely different from WWE, and I never looked at it like, oh, this is phony. It just didn't, you know what I mean? But John Moxley versus Chris Jericho, Return of the Lionheart. The video package was phenomenal.
It was
like the build-ups, the interviews, Moxley like speaking passionately, Chris Jericho speaking passionately. There's not a lose-lose situation, right? Like you win on both sides, and you get into, and the match was great. It was fine. I think I don't want to say it got overshadowed, but it kind of like, I like what AEW did, how they kind of moved the conversation forward because Moxley and Jericho said some real, heavy, some really harsh things to each other. Got into the match, gave us the match. CM Punk returns, and it kind of turns our attention away from it. So it's kind of like, well, you got all this build up for this, but it wasn't meant to be something to last long. I think Chris Jericho likes to reinvent himself much, and that's one of the last things he didn't get a chance to reinvent himself about. The Lucha Brothers versus Rush and Andrade. I call this one a family affair because you got the Lucha Brothers versus Rush and Andrade, who are cousins, I believe. Now I was watching this match, and I was I don't know if it's because I'm trying to be professional. I don't know if it's because Rush and Andrade have been like wrestling other styles, but they look kind of slow to ring wrestling lucha style. Because Lucha Brothers have been flying for years. They were sharp, like quick. I said, nah, these guys still wrestle Lucha Libre style matches sometimes, right? But Rush looked like he was just, his timing was off to me today, and he's one of my favorites in Ring of Honor. Him and his brother. What's his brother's name? I can't remember. I know it. Rush, Bandito, and Dragon Lee, his brother.
Dragon Lee, yeah.
They used to wrestle each other a lot in Ring of Honor in the latter years of it. You know what I mean? But
and those were fun matches to watch live. Watching those guys, man.
Oh yeah, and it seems like Andrade and Rush like could not keep up with the Lucha Brothers. I said, why are they wrestling circles around these guys? But did you guys happen to see the match at least? Like, did you pay enough attention to it?
I didn't.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't. The only thing I really seen was the Moxley match. I saw a little bit of the Moxley match.
I was in the beginning of writing and blogging, and I was,
No, look, yeah. I get it.
He like these guys.
No.
It's something I probably go back and watch.
Me.
Right? No. The thing is, I get it. You know what I mean? Because it was tough to watch the show. Like it was tough to get through. So I understand 100%. Like it wasn't even like a thing. But I noticed when I was watching it, I was like, man, this wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and I was disappointed. Like not that it was a bad match. It's just that I've seen all four of these guys have better matches, just not with each other. That chemistry wasn't there, from when I looked at it. And I figured with two, even when you look at like Rush before AEW in Ring of Honor, and then New Japan, or whatever his stints were, and then you look at like Andrade, they haven't really wrestled that. They've wrestled more relaxed styles. You know what I mean? Versus Lucha Brothers, they just spot fest it up, a lot of times. But they've been doing that everywhere. They've been doing it in the Indies. They did that in Impact. now they're doing it in AEW. Like it seemed like what they were doing was different. They just seemed like they didn't match just because they're, it was all Hispanic brothers in the ring doesn't mean that it was supposed to be like this lucha fest. But I didn't see Rush moving in the ring like a Rey Mysterio would move in the ring. Like Rey Mysterio still wrestles that style, even in the WWE. This is why he's such a pro, because I don't know how you can adapt that type of speed to a WWE style of match, but he has mastered it. Because when you watch him do it versus other people, like in a match like tonight, it wasn't as obvious. But like I said, we don't need to harp on that too much though. But that was a match I was looking forward to.
But hasn't Rush been out for a while?
Yeah, that also, in all fairness, probably has a lot to do with it. Ring rust. You know what I mean?
I haven't seen him in months.
So. I like Rush. I don't know if it was a contract situation. Well, he's injured, of course, but ring rust. But I always say I don't ever expect Rush to be in WWE because they have Santos Escobar, who I think is probably better than Rush.
Yep.
Like and he speaks better English. You know what I mean? So I think his translation on the mic.
That's the key. That's the key.
And same thing with Andrade, because everybody wants that Latin American audience. Everybody wants that Latino audience, period. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they need to represent. That's why Del Rio survived so well, because Del Rio could, he was well spoken, he was well fluent, and he played that Mexican aristocrat. That's a crossover thing. Versus like Andrade, he needed a mouthpiece because even though he's speaking more now in AEW, like you got to deliver in front of thousands of people on a weekly basis. It's tough for them to trust you in that space where they're going to hand you the mic. But like I said, we won't hop on it too much. But like I said, I just want to dig into some other things in the world of professional wrestling. Brody King versus Darby Allin. Here's another one.
Baby Darby.
Bro, I watched the video package, like the promo that, like, I'm starting to understand who Darby Allin is, right? And I think AEW is doing an excellent job with that, because it doesn't make me like him that much more as a wrestler, because it's not my style. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I like the guy. Like I don't think he's going to save the business or anything like that, like everybody was making it seem like. But I'm understanding who he is, so it's easier to comprehend it. And him and Brody King have this feud where Brody King I don't know if you guys have paid attention to it, but he's been attacking him at like San Diego Comic-Con and then a signing at a store.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I'm like, I like the realism that AEW is adding to this. I think Brody King is a menacing look. I think his character, along with Malachi Black and the House of Black, it fits well.
Perfect.
I just in my mind, I'm in this place, and we're gonna get into it while I'm saying to myself, can you imagine if Triple H had these guys together?
I was about to say that's the better version of Judgment Day right there.
Really, like that's really, you know what I mean? Like if they call themselves the Judgment Day, that's who they could possibly be. But I think that's the vibe that they've been trying to capture. But I like Brody King and what he does. I like the dynamic. The coffin is like, it seems kind of campy, but it makes sense because of Darby Allin and coffin matches. You don't want to rip off Undertaker and stuff like that. So a lot of times when people do these casket matches, they don't necessarily call them casket matches, because TNA used to do the same thing. TNA called it a last rites match when they had Sting and Abyss. Yeah, pretty much had a casket match where they destroyed the casket, the closing had to be raised up, and then and even in like Lucha Underground, they have a lot of casket coffin matches or whatever case may be. But the finish was really, really good. You know what I mean? Sting popping up out of the coffin as the lights went black. Once again, AEW's execution stinks, because like if Sting pops out of the coffin, Buddy Murphy's just sitting there looking at him, and Sting's like, just 60-year-old Sting is getting out the coffin. And I'm like, Buddy Murphy, look like you're surprised or shocked. So he just stood there and looked at him. And I'm like, but Sting can do no wrong. I'm like, Buddy Murphy, you're not helping the situation. You didn't look like he was startled or nothing. He just standing there. He just stood there like this and stared at Sting like this. I'm like, Buddy Murphy, move. Like, act like you scared. Like, look to the left and to the right, something. But I like the finish. He hits him off the thing. He hits him, he chokes him out. Very violent. Falls into the coffin, and he wins the match. That was good. But we saw FTR return, and then the rise of Wardlow. Have you guys been paying attention to Wardlow? Wardlow is the guy.
You've been saying that for a long time, ever since that cage match, right?
Yeah, ever since the cage match he had with Cody. Like first of all, he had the look, but I watched him wrestle in AEW Dark, and I watched him, like, they don't do too much with him, which is smart. They don't force him too early. And I'm like, how do you guys do so well with one person, but you can't replicate this same formula for so many others? But it also may have timing and all this other kind of stuff, like Lance Archer. Like what they're doing with Wardlow is what I felt like they should have did with Lance Archer, and they reversed. And like Lance Archer could have been this Japanese monster. You know what I mean? I say Japanese because he became a murder hog in Japan. You know, but then he came in and then just pandemic wrestling, so on and so forth. But Wardlow is he had a match with Jay Lethal recently for the TNT title. Jay Lethal is probably one of the best mid card workers of all time, and I don't mean to say like mid card because he's a mid card. I know, but I'm just saying it.
Making those matches important
At this and that's at this point, that's almost what his legacy has been. You know what I mean? And you know, the match he had with Wardlow, they did a really good job of selling the powerbomb, right?
Yeah,
like they were teasing the powerbomb the whole match. And then the power bomb, they were trying to get this like everything affected that one thing. And I'm like, yo, Jay Lethal's really good at working with young talent because he made Wardlow look strong because he was doing everything he could to prevent him from getting him in that power bomb. And that sells the finisher, right? It's a simple move. We've seen 1,000 times by all the big guys, but I think it helped elevate Wardlow and gave him it wasn't a match that made it seem like Jay Lethal doesn't stand a chance against Wardlow, but there's got to be a balance of building your monsters and not making them look invincible. Because if you're not going to put the strap on them like you did Goldberg, or like an Undertaker, you know, then you can't make them super unstoppable. Because then when it's time to lose, it's like, well, what's the point of you winning all these matches just for you to lose?
Yo, who was it they did that with TNA? And he went on. I feel like he went on like a 500 match win streak. Might not have been 500, but it was the same thing. And I remember. This is like the early days of the wrestling realm because I remember you said that same thing. This is how long the superior wrestling intellect been going on. But you said the same thing about this one guy, and there was no payoff for him. He was like sort of kind of remind you of Warlow-ish, not remind, but like you know the build. Like
I want to say Matt Morgan.
Bingo. That's what it was.
Okay, so it was Matt Morgan.
Yeah, when you said it triggered, but yeah.
You know, former Tough Enough contestant. Matt Morgan became the blueprint in TNA. It was the same thing. Like you do all this stuff to build him up, and it's like, but then you look unstoppable. But if you're not going to put the belt on him, what's the point of making him look that way?
Absolutely.
You know, they did the same thing with the Giant in WCW. You know, they pushed him all the way, and then they realized he really couldn't deliver. He was green. He just started working and stuff like that. But
he won the title his first night.
Sure, I mean,
like,
come on now. Like,
was that
just trying to put butts in the seat. You know, he was an anomaly. You know, 7 foot.
The son of Andre.
drop kicking people from the top rope. But you know. And the last thing we'll cover for as far as AEW, so we can move on to the meat and potatoes of the shizzo.
Yes, sir.
Hook is a gangster. I don't care what
absolutely.
says. Bro, from his music, the presentation, the look.
He just don't care. And that's the worst type of person.
Like, I'm nervous for him next week because he's going to speak. I'm like, oh, geez. Don't let him speak. Just let him come out there.
Yeah, he doesn't need to speak, man.
Bro, he goes in that corner. He puts his hands up. He just looks to the left. That bell rings, and he can go. He is. I'm thoroughly impressed with him. I mean, Taz's son is ridiculous, and it just works. And I was like, who came up with this? I mean, it's not something I know Vince McMahon would have ever done, but it's something I can see Triple H having a hand in. But Hook is a gangster. There's no particular reason outside of him winning like he won an FTW title from Ricky Starr. We talked about this last week a little bit, and I was like, wait, that's a title? But I was like, anyway, I just want to put it out there. Like, if I have nothing else positive to say about AEW each week, I'm gonna come in every week and I'm gonna say, by the way, Hook is a gangster.
Yeah, I think when he first got there, I was like, yeah, he's like one of the best in the business, like best in the company.
And he just started. He's new. Yeah. He's a new face. Like he just started. Like, you know, like of course he grew up in the, you know, with his father being Taz. Like, come on now, like the pedigree is already there. But you know, for him to be a new face, man, Hook, I'm like, oh, he just gets it. Some things just work. And I remember him and Braun Breaker kind of came onto the scene around the same time, and everybody's like, if there's two guys that got this figured out, that's young. It's Hook and it's Braun Breaker. So yeah. So now we are here for the BL Resistance. This is why we came here tonight. Now we got all this stuff out the way. We here to discuss the return of old school storytelling to the world of professional wrestling. All thanks to Triple H. Brother, here, you're not looking. You look. Check me out.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Triple H.
Shout out to the artwork, man.
What artwork? Oh, the ass.
He said what artwork?
I'm like, what? I was like, you paint?
Because like I'm pretty sure like I was probably, you know, in the middle of my night and I'm seeing the stuff come through the group chat. I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see this show. Just seeing. I was like, oh, this show gonna be good. I didn't even know what y'all talked about fully.
Brother Hugh had that joint on deck. I was like, oh, and the crazy part is I knew he was going to do it. I didn't even say when we left the show, I didn't say nothing to him. We talked, we chit-chatted, we geeked for a little bit. I didn't say nothing to him about making it on thumbnail, bro. Like probably like an hour and a half later, like I didn't see it until the morning because it was like 1:25. I looked at my phone. I said I knew he was going to do it. I That's why I did the video package the way I did with that one. I said, man, it's only because that every time
we here.
listen, that's what it is, man. It's a good brother.
The brotherhood.
Every time something goes down, that's the image we're always gonna have in our head. Like that Triple H dust, sprinkle that Triple H dust. But fixing what has been broken. We talked about this throughout the week. We talked about Triple H righting all the wrongs. Now, here's what I say. Let me start this, and Brian H jump in. This is your first week back, so we want you to get all like get your mind and your mental all in a space to kind of dig a little deep on this, right? And brother,
double Dutch,
right? Just
pause. Let's go. All
right, that's how little girls should do.
Right? Somebody make that into a GIF, please.
Fixing what's been broken. When Triple H was out, we going straight for the jugular. We punching people in the throat. When Triple H was out, they started changing a bunch of stuff with NXT. All the NXT talent started falling by the wayside. They were becoming flash and pan moments on the television. They were showing up in main event. They were like accessories to a bigger picture that wasn't even there. And everybody's like, this is not what Triple H envisioned. It made no sense for Triple H to do what he did in NXT, to literally turn NXT from development into a third brand, right? And then it seemed like it was no legitimate way for a lot of these NXT talents to properly be acclimated. There were a few, right? There were the Shinsuke's, there were the Kevin Owens, there was the Finns, there were the Sammys, there was the Baileys, the Charlottes, the Sashas. You know what I mean? Like, all of them, like that generation of NXT was fine, right? But it seems like everybody that came after them, the Becky Lynch's, excuse me, it seemed like everybody that came after them didn't get that same treatment. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to say it was a step down, but there's levels, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I understand that, you know, like an Oscar was Vince loved her. But at the end of the day, when that generation after them, I'm talking the Tommaso Ciampas, the Adam Coles, the Johnny Garganos, you know, that group started to try to transition. That same energy wasn't kept, right? Triple H he has a medical issue, a medical situation. He has to go out, and all these things are changing left and right. And we're looking like, why are they switching names around? Walter becomes Gunther. NXT is all colorful and graffiti looking, and nobody can keep their first name anymore. We're like, bro. All the stuff goes down. Unfortunate circumstances with WWE. What you do in the dark always comes to light. I'm gonna leave it at that. And now Triple H is in charge, and he's head of creative, and he has been fixing what has been broken for a long time. He is rewriting the wrongs. It seems like everything they tried to erase, he's going back and he's fixing it. Brian H, what have you noticed so far in this short amount of time about Triple H rewriting these wrongs?
I mean, everything feels like a big fight field. I watched Raw, and just starting off with the women, you got Bayley coming out there looking like a boss of all bosses, no pun intended. And then all of a sudden, here comes Bianca and her clique, and they just going at it. Then Alexa Bliss jumping off of the wall, and you hear that Cleveland crowd was hot. And I don't like giving Cleveland too much props. I'm from Baltimore, you feel me? But man,
what you got against Cleveland?
The Guardians, 1997. I mean, 96, 97.
I didn't even know who he was talking about. I forgot. Oh, yeah, I forgot. It used to be Cleveland Indians. My bad.
I'm trying to be respectful.
I didn't know. My fault. No,
it's the franchise name, you know. But yeah.
Galaxy? Sorry.
Apparently, there's 2 statues out there, and that's why they named the Guardians. It's like 2 statues in Cleveland that they named after. But yeah, so that's what I got against Cleveland. Still childhood hurt. But yeah, just watching that crowd was hot, man, and just to see how they just bought in, and I'm just watching. Then it's like the next match, and then the next match, and just everything I've been noticing is everything feels important, even on SmackDown. Now I know we're probably getting into Karrion Kross and everything, but all we wanted was just everything. Like we talked about the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression babies. They don't understand. They was like, oh, the work rate wasn't just this. Shut the hell up. We cared about the stories. And that's what it is. And now we got good storytelling and we got good wrestling. And that's what I've been enjoying. And I haven't been getting rematches.
That's it right there. That's it.
Bro,
I said it for like the last 2 weeks, man. Like, look, bro, no rematches.
Rematches is so bad that on the video games they do rematches in WWE Universe
seriously?
Mode. Yes, it's to a point where they have a like a GM mode where you gotta like compete against the other GM, and they do like rivalries, and you literally have to put the guy or gal in a match with that person, and they'll say, in order to hit your goals, make sure they're in the match together. Like, bro, stop. It's not like that's how bad rematches was that it translated to the video games. My bad.
Brother Hugh.
Good.
What have you been noticing the most about Triple H rewriting the wrongs?
First of all, I just love from the production side of things. I just love how everything is just more realistic. He's literally taking it back to the Attitude Era. I watched Rivals, earlier today, and it's the same exact product. That's where it's going. You know what I'm saying? They lifted the rating. Now you have the opportunity to open it up a little bit. Bridge that. And like I kept saying, like for the last 2 weeks now, bridging the gap between wrestling and entertainment, putting them both together, and we give you a real product. You know, it's no more of this gimmick and happy baby face, whatever. Nah, no, we don't have time for that. Let's give you some real stuff now. There's a lot of BS going on in the world. Let's give you that real stuff, something that you can relate to, and that's what I love the most about the product right now.
And I think you hit on some very key themes about kind of renewing those vows of that marriage of, like you said, the wrestling product, but yet this old school serial storytelling. I remember we had this conversation throughout the week. I said, man, this feels like a serialized soap opera.
Yes,
and it hasn't had that fit. Now, for those people who don't understand what the term is, I'm gonna break you down a little television theory.
You show off that TV production degree.
I mean, I paid for it at least for the last exactly. A serial is something that serializes. It's a continuation, right? We talk about the soap operas. A soap opera can have you like locked in for months. It's because something leads to something else that leads to something else. Then there's a wrinkle in that situation, but then it doubles back to what happened in the first place. And that's kind of what hooks you into even if you don't watch soap operas, you can watch a soap opera and get sucked into this, like, bro, wait, and then they cut you off. You got to come back tomorrow, because it's the way that they tell their story to keep you interested, where they give you enough to pull you in and then enough to cut you off.
Cliffhanger Fridays.
Hey, I was about to say they're Friday, bro. I remember watching Young and the Restless like when I was younger, and they always did it. Victor Newman's in jail or whatever.
I'm a fan of the Young and Restless for 8 years because of one Cliffhanger Friday.
And that's the whole point of how you do serialized television. Like, you have some shows that do episodes based off each episode. You see a lot of cartoons, they don't always follow through. But then you have a show like Dragon Ball Z that will pull you in, because Dragon Ball Z will have you all these other stories, and they will have you locked in, because you have to see what happens next. We're seeing the reemergence of that style of storytelling in WWE. Now, you don't realize that you missed something till it's not there. You know something is not there anymore. You know what I mean? And you know you miss it, but you can't really put your finger on it because you watch wrestling so much and we in and out. But it's what Brother Hugh said. It's something that we saw in the Attitude Era. It was something about the way they told stories. There's a certain drama to it, right? It wasn't just what we've been watching up to this point. You know, it's I know that the allegations against Vince McMahon are kind of horrendous as far as their business and all that kind of stuff, but it's been a blessing in disguise to the fans, because there's a new excitement about the way television is being presented to us, right?
Yep.
It's pulling us into these stories, even ones that we're not necessarily invested in, but they found a way for us to say, wait a minute, well, what's going on? Well, wait a minute, what's that about? Well, what is this leading to? Well, what happens? Versus before, we just been watching a showcase. You know what I mean? Match here, match. There seems there's no depth to it, but now there seems like to be this intertwining of this serialized storytelling. Like, this is going to lead somewhere. You got to come back next week. So now, like I can't wait to see SmackDown. I can't wait to see Raw, and that's something that has been missing. And it doesn't have to be necessarily about the performers or what we're looking at, but it just happens to be about how you present it to those who are watching your product. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing with Triple H, especially that's being given more time. Like, he hates the fact, well, he doesn't hate, but I remember he talked about it's difficult to write a 3-hour show. And I watch him fit so much into a 3-hour show, and we'll get into that in a second. But we'll start dipping into these themes, and we'll use what we watched this week as far as Raw and SmackDown to kind of help further our point in regards to these things that we've watched Triple H kind of rewriting some of these wrong. So we'll start with SmackDown. One of the biggest things that everyone's been just fussing about. It's been a lot of buzz right now when it comes to women's wrestling for reasons I choose not to get into. But The women start the show on SmackDown.
Mhm.
Like, first and foremost, like women's wrestling has been, once again, it's been like a fly on the wall. It's been showcased. Like, you have a half a story here, half a story there, and everybody else has to get in where they fit in.
Right.
The women start the show, and they make an announcement about a gauntlet match for the women's title. We saw like 4, 5, 6 women in one match. That's the first time in a long time that many women have been showcased on WWE television for a period of time, right?
Mhm.
And it made sense. You took all new performers, with the exception of like Natalya and Shayna Baszler. You mixed in the young with the old, right? And you had them competing and vying for a shot at the women's title. The importance of putting young talent or new talent in those opportunities establishes them as stars, even if they're not going to become the champion. In the world of professional wrestling, if you are enough to contend for the title, it puts you in a different space, right? So when you introduce that Xia Li and Raquel Rodriguez, you know what I mean? And who else is in that match? I don't even
Aaliyah.
have it up, but
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah was in that match. Like, those are
Shotzi.
was Shotzi in that match? Shotzi Blackheart,
Yeah.
she was in that match too,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, and along, like I said, along with Natalia, along with Shayna Baszler, they are automatically saying that you are an important piece of this show because you're good enough to compete for the women's title, right? And we saw Shayna Baszler eventually win, and we'll transition into that because that's going to take us to the next point. But what did you guys think about, starting with SmackDown, how Triple H has incorporated the women into the show better than ever? Well, since his time at NXT, I should say.
I loved it. Well, I'm a fan of women's wrestling. First thing, it was funny because in one of my wrestling group chats, this was Friday night, and one thing I didn't know about the West Coast was you gotta wait until like 8 o'clock over there, where like Raw will come on at 5 o'clock. So I'm like, man, I'm like 5 o'clock, I'm gonna turn on, and like, nope, gotta wait. So I remember seeing somebody said, "Yo, he fixed Shayna," and we've seen Shayna Baszler kind of come close to having that dominant run in 2020, and we thought she was going to become the women's champion and beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. That wasn't to happen, and then we just seen her, her and Nia Jax were tag team champions, which we call it the odd couple. But just seeing now what she was doing, but most importantly, just seeing that, like you said, the storytelling, like they were fighting for something. All the women were fighting for something, and that's what I'm excited about. And that's another thing. Like, I'm really excited about from the behind the scenes part, seeing Stephanie McMahon at the helm. Just from knowing how much like she loves this business, but then seeing Triple H follow up from the creative side, just seeing all of this, it's really exciting and makes me want to see what's going to happen next, because making all like you sign these talent not to be in catering, you sign them to wrestle. And that's what we want to see. There's a fan base out there for everybody. There's a demographic for everybody. So let's see them utilized.
Brother Hugh.
I loved it, man. I'm all down for
Oh, I know you. Yeah,
excuse me.
now for anybody that doesn't know Brother Hugh and Brian, they've always been advocate for
women's wrestling,
women's wrestling, women's sports
in general,
women's presence in Black media, like that's documented. So, like, I think it was one of the things.
He said it's documented.
No, it's documented. Like it's documented. You know what I mean? It's just, I think at the end of the day, it proves what he originally set out to do in NXT, was that he believed in the women's superstar. They're not women's wrestlers. They're not an act. They're a crucial part of the show. And Triple H found a way to incorporate them, even if you're not a top person, even if you're a new face. You made them relevant in some way, shape, or form.
And I was about to say, he just gave him that chance. Put him on that platform, put him out there, and you give them the chance to, you give the universe the chance to kind of like look at him and be like, do I like her or not? They kind of decide for you. It's like, I loved it. Everybody had a showcase right there. That was a showcase right there. So,
and that's the biggest thing I think that Triple H does that's different from Vince McMahon and his style. Vince McMahon is like, he micromanages. He wants to dictate what the audience should like, and sometimes he will beat you over the head until you compromise, until you comply. And there's times that we do. But Triple H is like, no, I think the fans are smart enough at this point. Let them decide what they like, and you have to give them a choice. You can't push one person or push one lady or push one star and then purposely keep everybody away from that person, because you know that if they get a chance, they may outshine that person. Maybe that person is not it. Maybe this other one is, But
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about pleasing the universe. I mean, I don't know how Vince did it for so long, but hey, he did it. Salute to him. But yeah, man, it's just a better era right now. It just seems like right now. So yeah.
So part of that process of kind of re-entering storytelling into the world of professional wrestling and Triple H kind of rewriting these wrongs, like the rebuild of stars. So we'll start with the winner of that match, Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler has been like falling through the cracks for a long time, just kind of in and out of random stuff, teaming with Natalya one minute and doing all these other things. And it's like it almost seemed like a waste of talent. I'm gonna tell you how much of a difference one night makes. As of this recording on a Wednesday after Monday Night Raw, I saw Shayna Baszler and Tommaso Ciampa on the bump.
Wow.
Like they were on the bump, right? And usually the bump is for showcase people. Because that's what it's a studio show. You don't bring in side acts for a studio show because that's how they've been treated. Let's keep it 100, right? That's what we do. I looked up and I saw the thumbnail. It was Shayna Baszler. It was Tommaso Ciampa. You talk about rewriting wrong. Shayna Baszler was one of the biggest stars to come out of NXT. Her pedigree, her style, her history, her experience, all added into something that was very unique. And it seemed like they didn't know what to do with her. In one night, as Brian H said, they fixed her. She wins this title opportunity. So now, once again, you've easily restored her career. You've restored her character. You restored the way you can use her because now she has secured a shot at the title. So when you're a title contender, you already in a certain space, right? We just had that conversation. She's not the only person that Triple H has done this for. We've seen this happen with quite a few people. And like I said, it seems like to me, Triple H has said, you know what? I'm going to make this right. I spent time, I invested in you guys, and I'm loving every last bit of it because it seems like NXT is taking over. So Shayna Baszler wins the title. Does she win at Clash at the Castle? So think about it. She's got a month to be a top guy, right? Because guess what? Clash of the Castle, what, September? Clash of the Castle? September, right? Yeah. So between now and September, she's the number one contender. So guess what? She's going to be featured in and out of that show. So now you have time to continue to build her up, to kind of restore her your interest in her, where you want her to go, what her legacy is going to be, so on and so forth. So then even if she does not win against Liv Morgan, you can do other things with her because the fans are seeing her, right? So we'll go into the rebuild of stars. This is another point I have on here on the sheet. We just talked about Shayna. Ricochet defeats Happy Corbin. Did you ever think in a million years we see Ricochet beat Happy Corbin? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't think so, Brother Hugh. What did you? Ricochet had a title reign, and I'm glad he had it because he deserved it and he needed it. Like those are the guys you need fueling that title, right?
Yeah, facts.
But I kind of fell through the cracks because once again he had no real dance partners. There was no real investment in him. He just kind of carried it for a little bit. He beat Happy Corbin, somebody that's been featured heavily probably the last, I don't know what, 2-3 years, I guess, consistently.
One of the best heels in the business.
Easy, because he annoys me every single time. Like I'm bothered by his presence. He's doing his job. So what do you think about Ricochet? A former NXT guy, right? It gets a huge win to me on SmackDown because Happy Corbin's, like I said, been a featured guy. I don't want to say he's top guy, but he's up there, right?
He's up there.
What does that mean for Ricochet?
It means that things are going in the right direction for him. You saw what he did in NXT. Good Lord, that was a lot of ends.
No, listen. It was a lot of ends this week too because I watched all them NXT matches back, brother, and I was like, God dang it, this T was good. Sheesh.
But yeah,
it's how you said this T was good. That's how you said, like, yo, this T was good.
No, but yeah, it's a move in the right direction. It's just good to see Ricochet have a match. And first of all, have him on TV. Like he lost the belt, the title to what's his name? Was it Gunther? And then he just disappeared. He pulled a Kofi Kingston on us.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, all right, so what's going on? Like, where is he now? All right, so I mean, but this is a guy that needs to be on TV. You see, everybody have seen him work.
Yeah, come on now.
That has to be showcased somehow, some way. I said it before. I'm gonna say it again. Triple H is going to build this mid card, and that's a top guy or potential top guy to be up in the mid card right now.
Yeah, big time, Brian H. It takes me to the next group of guys that kind of fall in the same category as a Ricochet, the Viking Raiders. These are guys that I got a chance to cut. I saw them cut their teeth in Ring of Honor. You were in Connecticut, I believe. I don't know.
I was
just got
reading the
there.
Realness Report. That's
And
how I learned about them.
And I was huge on that. Like when I watched them, they were in, like I said, the top prospect tournament in Ring of Honor. They faced each other, Hanson and Rowe, and then eventually they became a tag team. And I got a chance to see him and Hanson, Rowe, and Moose, and so many other guys backstage when I was working with Blizz. But the Viking Raiders, same thing, came in with huge fanfare. One of the biggest and baddest global tag teams around, right? They come to NXT, make a name for themselves, and then they're repackaged as the Viking Experience, and then the fans do a fit, and we at least got them to be the Viking Raiders instead of the War Raiders because of couldn't be War Machine because of Marvel property, couldn't be War Raiders because obviously they don't want to promote war. So we got the Viking Raiders that look like Vikings, and they kind of came and they were a serious tag team, then they were a joking tag team. Right. Now Triple H is trying to revamp who the Viking Raiders are, and he has them working with, once again, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, if not arguably the greatest tag team of all time in the New Day. Brian H., how do you see Triple H doing the same thing with not only the Viking Raiders, but as far as the tag team division?
I mean, it goes back to storytelling, right? Making people care about these two teams having an issue. There's no title on the line. Granted, that's always the goal, but it's like, okay, I have an issue with you got an issue with me, let's fight. And that's what I think we're gonna see. It comes back, it all comes down to that. All comes down to, like I was watching them and they was destroying, I think they destroyed Woods last week or this week, yeah. And with the ankle stuff, and it's like,
yeah, they try to kill him.
Yeah, and that right there, that's personal, because now you're trying to take away my livelihood.
And that was on the foot where he tore his Achilles.
Yeah, think about
that's
this.
What they were teasing.
I don't think we were born yet, but what do people always talk about the Horsemen and Dusty Rhodes? The time they broke his arm, right? Yep. People still talk about that to this day. You talk to somebody who was around, watching wrestling around the time, because it was personal, and it made you hate the Horsemen because you just try to take out my guy. And that's the thing. Little kids and people who love the New Day are going to hate the Viking Raiders because of that. So that's and like I said, it just gotta. That's the thing. The overall theme, that everything just seemed personal. Now it wasn't like, okay, you wrestling a match. Like I got Raw. We ain't talking about what we got on today, but I got Raw from the night Triple H won the championship. Right. Everything on here seemed personal, even to the point where Chris Jericho and Road Dogg had a feud, and with Howard Finkel involved. Why, I don't know, but it seemed personal. Test and Shane McMahon had a feud. It was personal about Stephanie. I don't want you dating my sister. Everything seemed personal, and that's what I'm loving about wrestling right now.
No, it's funny you mentioned that, because it seems like Triple H has this checklist of like, hold on, who did I build up? Who did they bury? Hold on, no, I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna fix you, and I'm gonna fix you. But Brian, if you bring up a very, very valuable point, as you always do, it seems like Triple H has a certain ear to the audience, right? Now, it's not always the smart thing to cater to the wrestling audience, because we're fickle. One minute you can hate somebody, and then the minute you get in that space, you're like, oh, I love them and I hate them. That's just the nature of the business. Like, that's part of being a fan, right? It's the fickleness of it, right? And one thing we noticed that Vince McMahon, he said it a lot. He kept saying, well, if that's what the fans want, then that's what we're going to give them. And we saw that in some occasions, but a lot of times Vince force-fed us a lot of things that we're like, yo, we didn't want. If for one, Roman, like, if you watch his WWE Evil special, you hear the Usos talking like this is not who he was, and it was force-fed. And you watch people try to do what the boss says at the end of the day, but you got to listen to the ears of the fans, right? Something happened on SmackDown that it had a different feel to it, right? And I noticed that Pat McAfee, after the match with Ricochet and Baron Corbin, he got up and he was standing he's kind of unhinged more. Like they're unleashing Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee has a huge personality. Yes. And I think he fits the WWE universe, right? He gets up there, he's playing catch with Ricochet. First of all, the fans in Cleveland go nuts for it. They're loving it, right? Yeah. And I'm like, bro, this dude just gave you a match, and it's almost like a commercial break. Now he's going to cater to the live audience, give you something special that's here. Pat McAfee goes, anytime he stands on the commentating desk, the fans go crazy. Him and Ricochet are playing catch. Ricochet celebrating. He goes, he passes it back to him. First of all, he picks it up, he signs it, and he punts it into the crowd, and the fans go crazy. First of all, Pat McAfee is a former NFL punter. That's what he does, right? And I was like, man, it was just like a random fun moment in the midst of a celebration. And I say that's because it felt like it wasn't just a wrestling show.
Yeah.
For the audience that was there, I was like, bro, they're really catering to they know we're watching at home, but they know there's also a live audience, and they got to keep this group alive for as long as possible. And it was only a 2-hour show. We haven't even gotten to Raw. You know what I mean?
I was about
But
to say when I saw that, I immediately thought about DX. You made a reference to him about 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Triple H. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I was like, what?
That's the audience participation.
That fan interaction, them throwing the glow sticks out. Like,
How excited do y'all think the Fox executives are as we head into like football season and advertising, like about this new regime of wrestling?
They've got to be thrilled to the roof because like they're taking the cuffs off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they have creative freedom, and I think they're going to learn to trust that Triple H is like, I know how the business has been, but I'm aware of where it's going. And I think that's been the biggest. That's why NXT was so successful. It's because Vince has historically tried to change things for what wrestling is about. Bigger guys. We have to make them like superheroes, and then we had the kind of the steroids era, and then that became a black eye on the industry as a whole. Then he went to the worker era, like with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Razor Ramon and Sean Waltman, the whole clique, Triple H, like dang near, you know what I mean? And then you had guys like The Undertaker and Yokozuna and Lex Luger and Big Daddy Cool Diesel. You know what I mean? You had those guys, but at the same time, those were also eras in professional wrestling where it wasn't the most popular financially as far as the company's concerned. And then you bring in Austin, you bring in Rock, DX takes a turn, and then all of this, just a whole added ECW emerges, because that's really what happens. WCW adds realism to the product. There's these shifts, right, where you're forced to change, and it's like WWE is in that place again where you're seeing another shift. And I'm like, the stuff that we watched on NXT, we never thought we really see it realistically on the main roster. We will see a version of it, but we never. It's crazy because it's like we're watching NXT with a bigger budget, and it's like, wait a minute, NXT was really, really good, and now here we are on SmackDown. We're watching this same aspect. But speaking of former NXT guys, it seems like the build continues, because what do you guys think about the rebuild of Shinsuke Nakamura?
Can I say this? When I was on Twitter, and the first thing I saw was your tweet was about the gear.
I'm telling you, I'm watching people not give a crap anymore about what they used to look like. Tommaso Ciampa's he's not putting Rogan in his beard anymore. I said, oh, so Vince is gone. Nobody cares. Like, nah, Triple H doesn't care. We're good. Like, I watched Shinsuke's changed his look up a couple times. I want you to jump to your point. I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to get this out before I forget it. And he's changed his look and he stayed relevant, and I'm happy for him. Like, I have no issue with that because I get it. But then I noticed that he went back to his original look in Japan, New Japan. Like, what you saw Friday was New Japan Shinsuke, Ring of Honor Shinsuke. Like, literally black pants, red belt, red boots, or sometimes all red pants, all red everything. And I was like, he was getting back to that look similar. He had his elaborate jackets. He had his, he was wearing long boots and stuff like that. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm seeing old school Shinsuke because
creative freedom.
Because Trips is in charge again. It's like, no, be yourself. Be what people have known you to be. And they're letting Shinsuke be Shinsuke. Go ahead, Brian H.
No, that was the thing, right? Shoot, what was the original question? Because like that, when you said
the rebuild of Shinsuke, he falls in line with. We saw Shinsuke come in with same thing, a lot of fanfare. We saw his first match in NXT with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's farewell was a banger. Still one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's what sold me on him that match, because I wasn't as familiar with Shinsuke Nakamura. And so, I heard about the debut. I heard it was coming, and you told me like, yo, this is the guy right here. And then I watched that match. It was the day before WrestleMania 32. And when it happened, him and Sami Zayn, I remember Twitter posting videos of the whole whatever arena they was in, probably the American Airlines arena, playing singing his song as they were walking out. And that right there, I was like, oh, so and at that time, if you remember, this is when Daniel Bryan was gone. And I kept saying, I'm never going to have another favorite wrestler, because I was devastated. And I was like, but he might be it. You feel me? Like, if I had to, and if you remember around that time, every time they would come, like, it would even be like the opposite show. And I was like, yo, I want to see Shinsuke in person. And now I'm starting to feel that way. Like, okay, this is the guy that I got excited for, because after to run with AJ, and it was like, all right, he's just Shinsuke. It's
Yep,
just another person.
And I'm telling you, bro, I was thinking the same thing. That was the last time that to me he seemed like he was put in a prominent space on the show.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so now I'm excited about it because one, he could finally be the first Japanese WWE champion.
Who I wouldn't go that far. That's deep.
Yeah,
it's very deep. But I feel better at his chances now.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel better. He's decorated. He's been a Intercontinental champion. I think he'll get a better run this time. He'll actually have matches that matter. So I'm excited about the rebuild of Shinsuke.
So brother Hugh, we got Shinsuke, right? And part of the rebuild of Shinsuke is putting him back in this prominent beef. We talked about something that also kind of became very lackluster in the WWE under the Vince McMahon era. So that's what's going to be called now. Like, because Triple H is going to take this to places it's never been before. Right. I'm with your trips. Suck it.
And people coming back too. We're gonna get new fans.
Trust me, it's coming, right? So you see, first of all, the one thing they got right is the build of Gunther, right? He's relatively the same Walter, slimmer, slightly different presentation, but for the most part, he's pretty much the same guy, right?
Yep. So
there's been this build of Shinsuke. It's like they're on a collision course. First of all, these guys are going to kill each other.
Yep.
You talking about a big Austrian I don't know the term of it. I don't know what it's like. There's a term for it's like British strong style, but I don't know what that term is.
Right.
I want to say like Peru. I don't know how to pronounce it, but in Japanese, in Japanese wrestling, it's pronounced as a P word, but it's known as just strong style.
Right.
Because it's a very intense, hard-hitting style of professional wrestling. And I'm like, you're gonna put these guys in the ring. I am so excited I hope this is actually an actual feud. Shinsuke versus freaking Walter. Like
I was about to say, they can get a nice feud out of that. This
is a dream matchup.
What? Come on, man. If he let them just go out and do what they need to do,
yes,
it's over. Come on, man. Shinsuke and Baby Regal,
bro. What? Like Gunther is like one of the top young, intense, bigger talents that we've seen in a long time, and we knew he was coming, right? And to have Shinsuke in the right space in the right time and at the place where he's been kind of like on a momentum, he's been on a hot streak, where like he's Shinsuke Nakamura, not just all Shinsuke Nakamura, he is Shinsuke Nakamura. You know what I mean? And it's like you're seeing not the importance of the continuity between when your legacy ends before WWE as it carries over to your legacy in WWE. AJ's done a great job of it. Chris Jericho's done a great job of it. So many others, but the importance of it is it establishes a brand, right? And it's like that Shinsuke brand has gotten lost in the shuffle, but he has found his way back. Like he's been building momentum for a while, and and not that like he hasn't been booked and he's been on mains and stuff like that, because he's still one of the biggest Japanese stars in the world of professional wrestling today. He's probably the most recognizable because he's a part of WWE. Him and Asuka, you know what I mean? And to have him right there again, like, oh nah, you don't know who like he's not afraid of Walter at all. Like Gunther is tearing people up. He's beating up his own guy, and he's an intimidating, massive figure. And Shinsuke is like, bro, I've seen bigger. I've seen like Shinsuke is crazy, and I'm like, that's the Shinsuke I know. And at that level,
this is perfect, man. Like it reintroduces the universe to that style of wrestling. Number one, which can potentially bring in another crowd.
Exactly.
Have more more Japanese people watching, or whatever, the British watching. Like it's just great. It's great all over, all around. And then you got Pat McAfee on the side. You know how he wilds out when every time Shinsuke come out. So it's like
he's only going to add gasoline to that huge flame.
Right. So it's perfect. So
you got Shinsuke, you got Gunther, and then you got Pat McAfee on the call.
Yep.
Intense,
in the IC title.
And the IC title, like this, it's Gunther. It's weird calling him that. It's easy to call him Walter. I'm trying to get.
You gotta do the line one more time. Just do the line.
His name is Walter. God dang it! Like I'm less, as you can see, I'm less and less angry about it. But it is, I'm because his presentation hasn't changed that much, man. Look, Rod said we love our Pat mac and cheese. Hey, yo, that's
a Roger thing to say.
Yeah, like if there was ever like a wrestling way of like giving somebody a pet name, that was perfect. We love our Pat mac and cheese. That's perfect because he's an intense guy. Like he's a guy that he could start a riot. He's a commentator. He would start a riot if he showed up.
He could.
Like
Pat
say you're in line,
McAfee versus Corey Graves.
bro. Say oh god,
That is
that
not happening.
yeah.
That is
But,
not happening, boy.
But I hope that closes the show on SmackDown. I hope that's either the last match or the main event. It may start the show. But as I was saying, Gunther had made up. He put out a tweet. He was like, I want to make this the most important title. And I was like, yo, that's where you want it to be at the end of the day. Like that's where you want. That's how you want your champion to treat whatever title he has. And I'm gonna tell you,
Facts.
you know who did an excellent job of that back in the day? Who you probably people fail to recognize? Freaking Booker T.
Mhm.
Booker T carried that television title with pride.
He did.
Like
he did.
you would have thought he was world champion the way he carried that title around. Like he had me invested in guys like Alex Wright, Chris Benoit,
Alex Wright, baby.
Finley. You know what I mean? You know, he had me invested in guys like that because he really carried that title. Like I was like at Thunder Saturday night, wherever it was. I needed to see that television title match because that's how he treated it. Like he would come out there excited. It wasn't an accessory. It wasn't a prop. It was a title that you would never think that it took second fiddle to anybody else on that card because of him and the Dean Malenko, eventually Eddie Guerrero was like that. That really was the workhorse title. Like United States Championship was like your secondary world title. Mm-hmm. And then like your workhorse titles were really the WCW television title and the Cruiserweight Championship. But that's where you saw the biggest work rate, the most work rate in a match was between those two. And so on and so forth. But
that was actually the world title for WCW. Because at that time NWO had everything on lock.
Pretty, I mean, that's, and
as far as the heavyweight scene, yeah.
When you put it that way, that's really the truth, though.
Yeah.
And since you brought it up, this is why we're an intelligent group of fellas. You notice that's kind of the attention to detail that Triple H is putting on the mid card titles now. Like we watched Raw, and we had a blast, and there was no world champion on there, right? And we'll jump into Raw as we'll get into we're actually making really good time, but I'm noticing how, like you said, Triple H is one thing I've noticed about booking, and I've learned this just listening to podcasts and wrestling shows and action figure shows and stuff like that. You always book for the main eventer and add the title as an accessory, and you have to build one or the other. Either you build the title or you build the competitor, right? CM Punk was the world heavyweight champion, but he complains because he says they just gave him the title. It had no emphasis or importance to it. So in that case, it kind of sullies your reign, even though it's in history that you've been a world champion. It doesn't mean anything, right? Versus if Chris Jericho decides he wants to be United States champion, or when John Cena wants to be United States champion. John Cena's in the main event defending in the United States champion, the United States Invitational. You know what I mean? It's because he's at Shawn Michaels is a European champion. He's main event in all of Europe or Great Britain, wherever they were, against British Bulldog, because he was the European champion, right? And then you go from Shawn Michaels to like X-Pac, Shane McMahon, and Mideon, D'Lo Brown, and it's not a knock, but you go from if your top guy carries your title, it's automatically important, right? Even Cody Rhodes to a degree in AEW in his early years, he was holding the TNT title. He was still top guy Cody Rhodes, even though they put emphasis on the fact that he couldn't challenge for the world title. That's what you want, and I noticed that's one of the things that Triple H is kind of putting emphasis on. So we kind of carry these same things into Monday Night Raw. Look, my fault. The close of the show. How could I forget this part? This makes no sense. SmackDown. Once again,
I'm waiting for this.
Another former NXT talent who had a short run in NXT because he didn't need a long one. Drew McIntyre. Drew doesn't need to be out of the title picture for anything for too long.
Right.
He's too big. He's too agile, athletic. He looks like
the airport test
champion. If you see him somewhere, you're like, I don't know who that guy is, but he's important.
He's something.
Drew McIntyre contending for the title, whether he wins or not. Once again, it's the same conversation we had when it comes to the women. It makes him relevant, but that's not all. That's not the reason why we're having this conversation, because we already know that. Obviously, we know he's relevant, right?
Yep.
The bloodline comes out. There's no reason for even talk about this. They are who they are. Roman is who he is. The Usos are the Usos. Paul Heyman, stupid penguin. He fired my guys.
You still mad at him, bro?
I still don't like Paul Heyman. I'm glad I enjoy his work. Still not a fan. Still not a fan. But Bloodline comes out. They're gonna do what they do. Drew comes out, and we get an unsuspected surprise, a return. Somebody we talked about, maybe Brother Hugh. We had a Brian, were you there for the conversation?
It was us. It was me and you.
Okay, so
it was y'all too. I remember y'all conversation.
Brother Hugh and I had a conversation like when we kind of did rapid fire about a few names we wanted to see return. Right.
Yep.
I'm gonna say this off breaks, and you guys can let me know as we jump into this. I had no idea that people will be returning as fast as they are.
What?
Facts.
Say that. Say it again, bro.
I'll say it again for the people in the back. I had no idea. The real Dwayne Allen, right here on the Wrestling Wrealm Now podcast, had no idea that we would have so many returns so soon. I'm a fan. I'm not privy to people's contracts and the situations. Now, don't get me wrong. I was like, well, I was trying to figure out who was locked. Only way I found out about Adam Cole and Malachi Black is because Tony Khan made it very clear. Well, these guys locked in the 4 and 5 years, so I don't know how they're gonna go back. I don't care who's in charge. You sound scared, brother, but
right.
I'm not gonna fake like I didn't look, because I did. I said, well, who's under contract, who's not? I didn't. I was under the impression that the man who returned was on a contract to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, sometimes those deals are not as ironclad. I don't know if that was per deal, per situation, per event. I don't know how that goes, but we saw the return once again of Karrion Kross.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there was a poster child for Triple H rewriting some wrongs, I think he might be it.
Yep.
We're talking about a guy that came into. Now, this is a guy that's been around that I never paid attention to. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what do we, even before Triple H freaking took over WWE's main roster, creativity, whatever you want to call it. We used to always say where certain guys need to go to WWE and work with NXT so they can get that Triple H dust.
Yep.
We used to always say it. We used to say get that Triple H dust. Like, oh, he'd be good. He needs that Triple H dust.
That seasoning.
Karrion Kross was one of those dudes because he's been in Impact. He's been all over the place. Like, it's tough to keep up with a lot of like Impact's eras and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, is he new? Like, I'm looking up trying to figure out where he came from. I'm like, oh, I remember him, but I didn't pay him any mind. He shows up in WWE NXT with a new presentation, a new look, all the momentum in the world. Gets injured, gets sidelined, comes back, has another solid run. His match with Samoa Joe at the last Black and Cold NXT takeover, as I call it, is one of my favorite NXT matches of all time. I was never the big Karrion Kross guy, but I'm like, who's this big? Like, same thing. He passes the eye test. Now, the one thing I will say is he got killed by Adam Cole on the mic. Adam Cole buried him on some Shawn Michaels type stuff.
Yeah, that was vicious.
Yeah, if I had the clip right now, I'd play it if it wasn't no copyright. Like, Adam Cole showed up there and said, look, man, they like
the Patreon. I played in the Patreon audio.
Adam Cole tore. First of all, he told Karrion Kross a new one. He told that man along the lines of, hold on, let me paraphrase. He pretty much said, like, look, you may have the attention of everybody in the back, and they may be pushing you to make you seem like some monster to impress people. He goes, you know what I got to do to impress people? He said, ring the goddamn bell. That's all I got to do. And I was just sitting there like, and Killer Kross is trying to make his little mean face, like, trying to make this.
Yeah, you can tell he was hurt. He saw it all in his eyes. Like, bro, oh my god!
Like, Kross, you got some work to do, because I said, you sound like Shawn Michaels, right? That sound like some angry Shawn Michaels from back in 1996 days.
The way he looked, though, even the way Adam Cole's presence, like the way he stood up, he looked like Shawn Michaels.
That was from the heart. I said no. That he feels that way.
Yeah.
You know. But outside of that one situation, he was being built to be the next kind of big thing. And I know he worked with Jon Moxley previously before his time in WWE, and Moxley was a fan of his. Like, and he gave him Triple H's number, as Karrion Kross has openly said before.
Mm-hmm.
But to see him return, similar face, slightly look, he has hair now. What were you guys thinking? And just jump in, because it was insane. Let me set the table for you. We gave everybody the intro. Now we're gonna give everybody the body, and we're gonna come to a conclusion, right? Roman Reigns is in the ring with the Bloodline. He's running his mouth. This is about Drew. You hear me? This is about Drew McIntyre and his title shot at Clash at the Castle, September 3rd or 5th or whatever day it is, right? The first major stadium show in the UK in who knows how long. I think it's ever. I think it's the first one. It's pretty much their version of WrestleMania. Like everybody else, Jeddah gets one. In Saudi Arabia gets one. You know, they did one in Australia, Super Showdown. Now they're gonna get one in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the UK's sons has triumphantly put himself in the space to challenge the tribal chief in the bloodline for the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship. Drew comes out here to make his claim, and all of a sudden things go black. You see a woman standing in front of a giant HD screen, and it's in black and white, and you hear a storm. I'm just as lost and flabbergasted because in my mind, I'm like,
what?
There's no way in the world. There's no way in the world. Let me tell you why. Because the last time we saw Karrion Kross, his presentation was nothing like that.
Yeah, he was the fourth member of Demolition.
Exactly, bro. He looked like Demolition had a son.
And here comes the Smashers.
Right.
Demolition.
I'm gonna tell you what threw me off. And this is what I need in my wrestling. This is especially at this age. We've never seen that entrance on the main roster. We saw the NXT because when he debuted, he didn't have that.
Right.
What did you guys think? First of all, when you saw Scarlett Bordeaux, didn't know it was her because I'm like, no, that can't be her. No, these are New Japan. This is me. This is realness.
Mm-hmm.
No. And then all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre is attacked. First of all, you don't see his face because he has hair.
Right.
So it's thrown me off already. So it's right now I got a sensory overload trying to figure out, wait a minute, what the heck is going on?
Great camera work too. Great camera work too because they caught everything from behind.
Production got to be on point. So they probably in the truck like, hold on, wait. Camera 2, camera 3 on lock.
Turn.
Like,
Bam, there it is.
They went straight to the big screen, the Tron, and they went straight to the attack, right? And they went straight to Roman's face. Nothing on the left or the right. Nothing on the left side. Everything come from the back, right side.
Right from the back, right.
What were you guys thinking when you noticed that Karrion Kross had made his return to WWE and attacked the number one contender for the WWE Universal Championship in the last segment of the show, which technically was the main event?
I wanted to say first it was a shock factor
Mm-hmm.
for the same reasons. Didn't think he was going to be back that fast. Second, like you said, the entrance for an NXT star or someone of that caliber to get a unique entrance like that. Like, you know how Triple H is about his entrances.
Mm-hmm.
Like lately, well, since the last couple of years or whatnot, it seems like everybody's interest been kind of like watered down or whatnot, especially when they got rid of Pyro.
Yep.
So it's like that creative aspect was in play again. And it put on a great production for us at home. I'm not sure how it looked in
real time,
in real time, but those are the first two things I thought of. Then I was like, this is a way to get one of those belts off of Roman. Because what I'm thinking is now business aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking USA is upset.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that major title on USA. So how are we going to get one of those belts off of Roman? Potentially. Here we go. I was talking to the guy, Brandon Guy.
Brandon Guy. That's what he's known as. In case you guys don't know it. The guy, Brandon Guy.
Yeah, yep. And he threw something out there. Maybe we can have him on the show and he can talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, like it's just a way to enter him into the feud and just kind of like possibly get the belt off of Roman without Roman taking the L.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. So those are the things that I thought of right away. Brian H. I love the hourglass, by the way.
We're gonna get to that, bro. It's the psychology of the little stuff that Triple H did in NXT that we're seeing on the main roster we haven't seen in forever. We'll get to it, Brian H.
So this was an opportunity to plug Patreon, because I definitely left my thoughts on there, which you can get only for $1. But to summarize it, so I was jaded because I didn't see it live.
Mm-hmm.
So I had time to like read through all the commentary. That can kind of like, and I'm watching with my child and he goes, "Who's that?" But I am interested to see, because like when I saw this, I said, okay, well, clearly this is somebody that you don't bring people back that you don't believe in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it don't work, it's like one thing, but you're not bringing it. It's like, even if, all right, let's just say this, right? You got Glenn Jacobs. He was Isaac Yankum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that didn't work. Then they gave him Fake Diesel.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they believed in something with him to do it one more time with Kane, right?
Yes,
Because he
sir.
was the only person that was a big man at that time that could athletically keep up with the Undertaker.
Yep.
So you don't make the investment to bring somebody back if you don't believe him. Now, I'm not a Karrion Kross fan by any means, but when you put Scarlett with him and you give me that entrance, I'm intrigued. Because I'm like, I try to pretend that everything that we saw with Jeff Hardy, that didn't happen. You take the Men in Black thing, it didn't happen.
He had a match with Jeff Hardy.
Bingo.
Oh,
Now,
never knew that.
Yeah, for me personally, for him, I said this, the mystique was gone after he got hurt. But what we saw here is they found a way to restore it because you put this entrance on the main roster. And I have to say this, y'all gentlemen, has got me more excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see what happened. That's all I'm gonna say, because I'm right now, I'm gonna let this play out because I don't want to, right at when it happened, I wasn't like, oh man, this gotta happen out there. But now let this play out.
I freaking freaked out. And I was like, no way in the world. I was sitting like, no. I got it. I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute. Because I'm trying to play the interest back from NXT. And it's throwing me off because I'm like, wait a minute. Who is this?
And you watched this live, right?
I watched it live. I was watching it. Like I was locked into SmackDown. Like I wanted to see Drew and try to take out the bloodline. That's what I came to focus on. Like I didn't see that coming. There's no way in the world I would have thought anybody had the balls, first of all, interrupt Drew or interrupt Roman. Even I'm not doing that. And I'm a big dude. I'm like, nah, bro, y'all go ahead. I don't look, y'all, nah, go ahead. Nah, we'll talk afterwards. Y'all figure that out first, then we can talk.
That's a good point to make, though.
Listen to me. I'm not interrupting neither one of them. You out your mind. One carries a sword and one runs with a whole gang. Like I'm not fooling with the bloodline. You get jumped out there playing around the bloodline. No, sir. And I'm not fooling around with Drew because he come back with what's the sword name? It's named after his mama.
I forgot what's the name.
He said Lucille like on Fresh Prince. Right? Jeffrey, break out Lucille.
I forgot.
It's named after his mother, so I don't want to say the wrong name. But
we'll get it in 2 seconds.
Angela. Angela. There you go. I'm not interrupting neither one of them brothers. First and foremost. So when I saw the entrance, it threw me off. Brother Hugh, you brought up a valid point about the little things, right? The main roster audience isn't always privy to previous NXT stuff. Especially, you got to think about it. Karrion Kross got his biggest run during the pandemic era of professional wrestling, including NXT, when they kind of moved everything to the Capitol Wrestling Complex. And that it was a different feel, right?
Yep.
And it's been a while since we've seen that interest because like you said, even when we saw him on the main roster, he was not given that presentation. He was watered down tremendously.
Big time.
We watched the entrance, and I remember Shawn Michaels told him entrance is too long, whatever the case may be. But it added to the mystique of who Karrion Kross was, because when I watched it and I see this chick and she's talking about bow and pray, I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm trying to figure him out. But they've done their job because they have me invested because I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this dude. Right? That's not the version that we received on the main roster. We kind of jokingly talked about his debut match against Jeff Hardy. It was another situation of, once again, someone that has taken time to be built in NXT was not being used in direct correlation of what they were as far as continuity is concerned to the main roster, which could have been another star you can plug into your mid card, another star you can build into a world title person, whatever the case may be. But it was the little things that she did. That's an interest we haven't seen before. When she puts the hourglass up there and she stares, she adds such a mystique to the character of Karrion Kross because you're trying to figure out, well, what's her deal? Like, what's the deal with her? Like, we saw that a little bit with back in the WWE ECW days with like Kevin Thorne and Ariel. She, it was
took it back.
It was a vampire gimmick, and she would come out and she would just do these things, and you would have to keep looking at the side of your eye to make sure you had to keep an eye on her because you didn't fully know what her deal was. you know, she was very intense and she was doing a lot of things that's like, okay, if I'm not paying attention, she can cause me a problem. And so, and Scarlett Bordeaux has that same effect on anybody that has to deal with Karrion Kross, right? So he's pointing. If you know, for those that never watched me NXT, he's always pointing to his watch. He's always saying TikTok, and you're like, what does that even mean? And that level of mystique kept you on your toes because you're like, who? Like even Rome was looking like, who is this guy? Like, what's the deal with him? And the look they had, they were just trying to figure out what was going on. And I was like, man, that's what
I was
you
about
need.
to say, my bad to cut you up. I was about to say, shout out to them because their reactions were on point, man.
Details,
you know how Roman is anyway. He's just like, what?
Nonchalant.
What the heck is this?
Yeah.
Please.
And like, man, it was on point. Everything was on point.
Everybody sold it the correct way. Like
Yep.
and even if you notice the commentators, they're not overly jumping the gun like Bobby Heenan. Well, what side is he on? Whose side is he on? Like it's just like they're just as confused as we are,
Right.
which translates better to television. Because if we're watching and say trust me, we're gonna jump into Monday Night Raw for this last half hour of the show. We're gonna dive in Monday. It's the same thing because we saw it with what if he jumps the rail and immediately the commentator goes, "Oh my God, Karrion Kross has returned. He has hair. Look at him attacking Drew McIntyre." Everybody would be like, "Wait, what?" But there's this old school sense of wrestling psychology that's like, wait. Scott Hall talked about it. I hear Kevin Nash and Triple H recently talk about Scott Hall and how great he was when it comes to like, dude, slow down, let it simmer, let it build you up. And that's exactly what happens now that you notice the commentators, they're like, wait, what is going on? Like, who is that? Is that who? And even then, they're so hesitant to speak on it is because they're giving you this unpredictable feel like, well, are we supposed to speak on somebody that's maybe jumped his rail? Is this person a part of our company? Where are they coming from?
Realism.
And you're on TV, like you watching at home, like, yo, who is it? Say who it is. Who is it? And you wait for them to spit it out because they have to report to you what's going on. And you're like locked in because they don't know what's going on. So now you're like, everything happens in a span of 3 to 4 minutes. And in that 3 to 4 minutes, you have just this sensory overload of, wait a minute, what's going on? And then he turns around. And even you can tell the fans didn't know what was going on because there was this hush over the crowd. And they were like, they didn't recognize him. And then when he turned and faced the roaming hard camera and his face went on the big screen, everybody's like, oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah.
Karrion Kross is back. And guess what? Cliffhanger Friday, the show goes off. That's SmackDown for you. And now they have 100,000 million people looking forward to figure out what the heck is going on Friday. And of course, Drew's like, I just got attacked by the guy that had bondage and stuff on. What's going on around here?
Hey, son.
I think that is the ultimate definition of Triple H dust. But we got a little bit more to cover before we wrap this up. We jump into Monday Night Raw, right?
He definitely did look like a Basham brother.
Bro, he did though. Like he looked like Danny, Doug, and Killer Cross and Karrion Kross Basham. Like, but like certain things worked. Like his look worked with his presentation with the title NXT. He came up with the things, the gladiator skirt, and he's trying to make mean faces with that stupid mask. I'm like, bro, who buried you? Somebody didn't like you. Yeah. And somebody said, because I felt bad for him because he was one of the guys that he kept saying, he asked everybody, hey, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I good? He's a WWE guy. He wants to hit him and his wife, which is a blessing because he has a woman that's like right by his side that knows they want to live, breathe, eat sports entertainment 24 hours a day.
Yep.
And like they're saying this needs to be our life. I say he's a company guy. And I think somebody said I stand on it. So I do believe somebody sabotaged. I think somebody convinced him I think he should have fought for what he believed in. I think he would have been respected by Vince a little bit more because Vince has been known to like confrontation and he'll cuss you out, but he respects the fact that you took that cussing out and that you stood up for yourself rather than you going along with something that you really don't believe in. And I don't think somebody sabotaged him, but that's something you don't have to deal with now because the guy who pretty much created you and your presentation is now in charge. And you've been immediately inserted into main event storyline going into Clash at the Castle. We don't know what his involvement is going to be. We don't know if he's just making a statement. All we know is
he made a statement.
Being on there with Roman is a big deal.
Listen to me. He beat up Drew, but he turned to Roman and that clock went there. Like you said, she put that hourglass. She waited, bro. This is old school click 95 through 97 style of wrestling. And they waited, bro. Like she could have think about it. She could have came out immediately, did the same thing. They waited for him to get beat up. They waited for him to show his face. They waited for him to slowly turn around and look at Roman. And then she looked at him and she slowly put the hourglass up there and she sat it down. And then he looked back and Roman's looking like, what the heck is going on with this? And he kept saying tick tock. And then the show goes off. Bro,
that's when I went crazy. I'm not gonna
television.
That's when I went crazy. I was like, oh my, is it Friday yet?
Bro.
Like,
Man, I wish I would have saw this live.
Bro, that is television. Like our generation, we've seen that kind of television before because we don't get so much. This generation is a little more fast food television because it's on demand now, right? Because you get it as you please. You got apps, you got streaming. When we grew up, you had to be there at a certain time, and if you was super, technologically inclined, you outsmarted the channels. Because guess what? You had a tape in the VCR. So you didn't miss your stories, you didn't miss your TV show, you didn't miss nothing. I got you television network. You want to come on at 5 o'clock on Tuesdays? I got a tape that my VCR is set to 5 o'clock on Tuesdays. I will never miss my show.
You tell everybody in the house, don't touch this TV.
Don't touch the TV from 5 to 7 or
make sure the VCR is off because it wouldn't record if it was on.
There you go. Like those are the things that you had to do. But my grandmother, God rest her beautiful soul, she had a room full of nothing but tapes of soaps. Just nice. I had to throw them all away when we sold our house, but they were everywhere. But that's the attention to detail, right? That's Friday. So we carried over 2 days and we jump right into Monday Night Raw. Once again, the women start the freaking show, right? You got me and brother. You talked about this last week, brothers. We got Bailey working with 2 young NXT talent. And then we have, once again, a main event program with the women that's not necessarily surrounded around the title. Now, it does involve the women's tag titles. We have one storyline that involves the women's tag team titles, the Raw Women's Champion, and a whole bunch of other ladies that won these titles at the end of the day. Triple H is doing it again. Talk to your boy. Like this is Friday, Monday, and he's starting to show again with the women. And then he has, once again, this tournament set up to crown new women's tag titles, which I think is going to lead to something way more drastic.
Yep.
But that was just the beginning of the show. Gentlemen, what was your impressions when Raw first started and we have this spillover of the Triple H dust? Talk to your boy.
Man, first of all, like now we talk about like the DVR generation. I was like 6 minutes behind, right? And the difference between this week and a month ago, I would just turn right on the USA Network, whatever.
There you go. Yep.
I could not miss a minute. I said, I did the phone. I turned it over, product placement. So I couldn't see nothing. I put the Twitter. I muted it. Or turned away, and I just locked into the TV because I couldn't miss nothing from the beginning. And to see the way the show started off, to see the way, like I said, just to see what the women. Because that lets you know we're invested. That's the first thing. First of all, the video package.
Yes,
the video package to open the show, starting from SummerSlam, going into last week. And then I said, oh, they starting off with the women tonight. Because, it's kind of like, they give you, where we're going to start off last week, And, man, like I said, it was just a great thing. And, again, it was just personal because, like you said, all these stories involved. And let's face it, it's not like it's, let's just say it's not like it's 30 women on the roster where you can do, a little bit here, a little bit there. They're always going to be intertwined. I think eventually it'll grow, but they're always going to be intertwined with each other somehow. And right there, we got to see that happen. But, like, Bianca ain't safe. She might have a quote-unquote crew, but eventually they're going to want that title too. But like I said, just with the women's tag titles, it made it prestigious. Like, these are important, and we're gonna, restore the importance of it.
Brother Hugh, tell me what's the difference between the way the women are involved collectively now versus how they've been collectively before. And I want you to really, really break it down for the folks, the difference. And I'm gonna tell you what I'm referring to. So I'll give you some reference. So you're not going into this completely dark. Back when they wanted to include the women before, like as the group, it was a random battle royal or something, or it was a random pillow fight, or it was a random, 10-man tag with 2 minutes.
A random throwaway match.
And that's exactly
basically
what it was.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the way Triple H has done it now, how he's incorporated talent and storyline and title? Because usually you get one or the other. You may get a talent confrontations, Bailey and Bianca beefing. You may get a title confrontation. I want the title, you got the title, let me have the title, right? Or you have a situation, what I say, talent, title, and whatever. But it's you don't get everything at once, right? You don't get a mix of talents. You don't get a good blend of incorporation of like new faces. You know, you have a reason you want to get into a fight. You have a beef. You have a title, but it's like this wonderful, like he's making a cake. Like the way women have been depicted before has been flour. Seen a little bit of flour.
Yep.
Seen a little bit of sugar. Seen a little bit of eggs. Your boy Triple H is out here making cakes. Okay.
Duncan Hines. Yeah.
Like tell me how, because this is me how I'm seeing it, right? And I might be tripping out, so I need different perspective. Tell me how you are noticing the difference between how Vince has incorporated the females and the way that they were used before versus how Triple H is using them now, especially in this capacity. We have two shows when women start the show, and there were two different situations, but yet in those situations, we've seen so many women's talent just feeling a part of the show and not a throwaway match. Talk to me.
Hold on. This is the second week, right? So because they started this show at SummerSlam also.
Yeah, like
under Triple H.
It was kind of like that Garden, Madison Square Garden,
Mm-hmm.
SummerSlam,
Mm-hmm.
fallout from SummerSlam, and then like here we are.
I said it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Triple H is showing that trust. And
Ooh,
you
already start. I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. You already started off with that fire.
Hey,
go ahead.
He's showing them like he's Jay-Z said it best. Mm-hmm. He's throwing these ladies out there, and he's like, "Show me what you got, pretty lady. Show me what you got." And they're getting their chance to shine in the spotlight. You're first through the curtain. What you gonna bring to the table?
Mm-hmm.
The fans are here. Boom, boom. Show me what you got.
Yep.
And that's literally what it is. Just like you can't say it any other way. It's straight to the point. Smack you in the face with it. Oh yeah, they feel her. They like her. We got to tweak some things with her. Bailey. Oh no, that's good. I like this. You know, this whole stable concept. And might I add, Bailey is fire on the mic.
Yes, she is.
Hey, she on a whole nother level.
She is. Bailey's one of the best. She's like men, women. I'm telling you, Bailey's it. Like, she's her.
Yeah. But that's basically it. He's smacking you in the face with great talent. With all of this talent that he has on the roster, he's giving you a chance to look at everybody and evaluate everybody and be like, look, okay, who's up next?
And Brother Hugh, the people don't even realize it, but you dropped a freaking ruby on them. You dropped such a gem when you said he is showing trust. It's because you can talk about trust, but he is showing it because you are seeing the spots and the prominence in which he's putting certain superstars at the forefront, right? Especially with Bailey. Even a situation like when she messed up Io Sky. I think she called her like Io Kai. She mixed her name.
Dakota Sky.
Yeah. And she called it Dakota Sky. And she was like, and the fans were like, "Oh, you messed up." And she's like, "Oh, yeah. And see, previously, she probably would have been told to ignore it and keep going as if it never happened, right? She's like, no, okay, I messed it up. You guys are stupid. I said, Bailey is so freaking smart. She knows not to let the fans hijack the show because of what you said. She knows, like, Triple H is giving us, he is showing us trust. This is something that was told that wasn't good enough or wasn't going to work. And because he has shown us that trust, I'm not going to let anybody else take the segment away from all the ladies involved in this and all the ladies who are involved in the back that are looking on the situation saying, yo, we have to be involved in this, because I don't remember a day where I'm saying so much women's talent incorporated in one show. And it's like, oh, it is possible. It can be done.
It's literally pretty much the whole roster without, like you said, with the throwaway match.
Bro,
I hate that. I hate when they do that.
It's a waste. Like,
let's put them in a battle royal.
And then you sully the talent. They become disgruntled. They become typecast, and then you destroy them. And then have an attitude when they don't draw and you can't build them. Well, because you haven't given people or advertisers or business a reason to invest in what you're doing. And it to what Brian H said, it just makes sense when you're, first of all, when the CEO of the company is a woman, right? She is officially she's a fourth generation promoter, right?
Yeah.
And then your husband is head of creative. You're going to see that natural integration of two. But That's I mean,
definition of a power couple.
I'm big time. Like, I hear the Jay-Z Beyonce stuff. That's cool, but this one right here is a little different. This is part of my community. This is on a different level. Like, you had the one that's running the company and the one that's in charge of creative the company. And the crazy part is this is something we saw as a storyline that kind of
long time, right?
It kind of came into fruition, right? So as we move along and we keep these themes going for the rest of the night in regards to storytelling at its best, really being incorporated in Monday Night Raw, as well as Triple H righting some wrongs, we see something rather different and suspicious in the midst of what we're watching on television, gentlemen.
What is that?
For some strange reason, a lot is going on backstage. Right, we're watching Raw, and it starts out. I remember seeing the girls, the ladies were arguing in the back. I don't remember who it was. It was Asuka and somebody else, and Bailey, and they ran into stuff. In the far point, there's a car crash. It's obvious, right? You see Dewdrop, and you see Nikki ASH, and something's going on. You see smoke, and you see officials. Like, you don't know what's going on. I'm assuming. I originally thought, because it was fresh off a women's segment, something was going on with them too. I said, "Uh-oh." I'm gonna tell you what my immediate instinct was. I said, "Uh-oh." Sasha and Naomi, they about to crash the party. They just pulled up and crashed the car. They who knows it. My mind immediately went. This is television. This is what Triple H did. Triple H said, "I'm going to pique your curiosity." First of all, this was in the middle of a segment, right? This wasn't like, let's take the cameras backstage. What's going on? They never mentioned what was going on backstage, man. This is the drama I'm talking about. This is where you start getting to the soap opera, right? They never mentioned what was going on backstage. They were ignoring it, but you notice the subtleties in the terms of storytelling, because the superstars are like, they're trying to address, like, they're trying to look back, but they have a segment they got to do. So they're playing on the fact that, like, we know we're pro wrestlers and we know you got to put on the show, but we're going to keep. So now you automatically playing with the viewer. Yeah, because the smart marks are saying, I see you purposely trying to do your segment, but I'm also seeing you purposely try to figure out what's going on behind you. And because you're purposely not trying to look back there, and you're showing me that you're a wrestler and you have a segment to do, and you don't want me to look behind you. So guess where the heck my eyes go? Immediately to what you're trying not to look at. Come on, man. It's television 101. The suspense. The suspense grabs you from the beginning, and you're like, okay, fine. You think that's a one-time occurrence. So wrestling goes on, right? And the rest of the night, every time there's a backstage segment, we're seeing a lot of random situations with people backstage. Now, like I said, if anybody that can't be trusted in backstage situation, it's Triple H. He is the king. We have a Dusty finish. Yes. We're gonna start calling the backstage segments the Triple H finish, because,
bro, I'm just looking at Raw, and he just attacked The Rock backstage.
That's all
he won his championship. Literally, while you was talking.
That's all he did, bro.
He didn't hit Stone Cold. He didn't beat up Shawn Michaels. I don't know how many people got beat up at NXT back when he was running the show. Got beat him back a lot. Right. I was laughing because Big Rikishi, he was always good to us in our early years, man. He was he was, every time we saw him was nephews. He showed us that type of love that people in Samoan cultures always do, right? Rikishi, he put out a tweet earlier and was like, "Hey man, listen, it wasn't me this time. I'm serious." And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. He's like, "No, seriously, it wasn't me this time." And I was like, bro, everybody is getting in on it because something was going on backstage, segment after segment after segment. It was just this teasing. And then I remember one time we're watching, and you see all these police officers and officials like running from the scene. And no matter what's going on backstage, you see AJ running to somebody else. And you see this commotion going back. I'm saying to myself, okay, they're showing us backstage stuff for a reason. Something's freaking going on. I need to know what's going on. I need to figure it out. Right. You don't pay it any mind. The show goes on. Right. At the end of the night, in the main event, there's a man that comes up. Same thing we saw on Friday. There's this guy in a hoodie comes up, and you notice the cameras are not looking at it. The Miz and AJ Styles have their match. We're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to close the show on that. But you see this shadowy figure with the hood on, and all you see once again is police officers run into this space, and you see the fans look over first. This is what television does. This is when you watch soap operas, because the hard camera purposely is like locked in on the main audience. AJ just won, right? And they know that as soon as they see commotion to the freaking left, everybody's eyes are going that direction because they're like, somebody's acting a fool. I'm like, it's a fan or something acting a fool over there. And then you see police officers run up.
I didn't even notice it. Oh, because actually the way it was filmed at the
Mhm.
angle, like you kind of really couldn't see him because like
Because
the turnbuckle was kind of in the way.
Yeah.
that was the whole point. You weren't
Right.
supposed to see it.
Right.
And you're playing with the viewer's curiosity because I know something's going on. I see it, and you're trying for me not to see you. You're trying to make me not look at it.
What tipped me off was AJ, because AJ kind of like he did like a little side eye, like should I look
Yeah.
over yet? He did
Yep.
a little side eye, and I was like, what's wrong with him? And then he turned around and looked and was like, what's this? And then I see the cops over there. I'm like, oh snap,
Bro.
were they supposed to catch that?
I was trying to. I said, oh, they got one of these fans acting a fool.
Right.
Mhm.
And
The police officer.
The first thing I did was looked at everybody else's faces in the crowd, and they were just like what's going on? Like,
Bro,
and that hood lifted up.
freaking Dexter Loomis.
Man,
We
Who
just
just got-
saw yo.
I
I
went
just seen him at
crazy.
MCW.
I missed that show, yeah.
Bro,
But yeah,
I have never been a Dexter Loomis fan.
that dude is. Hey, I loved him, man. I ain't even gonna lie.
I was
He
not.
seemed like a Hugh guy.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Know,
he's mysterious.
and he has a very distinct face. I'll say that. and when they snatched it off his head, the commentators did the same thing. They were whispering to each other, is that Dexter Loomis? Is that him?
Mhm.
He
And I was
looks like Stone Cold with a thick mustache.
He
and
does.
hair.
He looks like, bro, like you look a little. I don't want to say he looks like a stalker because you got to be careful with some of these terms these days. But I was like, bro, you look kind of creepy. Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
He's somebody that recently was cut from NXT. I didn't care because during that era of NXT, I was kind of desensitized a little bit, and I just wasn't a huge fan of his.
I was into it with him and India Hartwell. I was kind of into it.
I
See,
didn't care-
'cause
I didn't
he
care
wa-
for that storyline, but
he went from being like a serious kind of character to like this love story, and I was kind of like,
yeah,
okay, you know what I mean?
it was 2.0.
yeah,
and-
that's that mess they did with Kane.
and that's it pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. We've seen a lot of wrestling, so
Uh-huh.
I say all that to say is that the fact that that's somebody that it made no sense for him to debut in the main roster in that way, where it's like, oh, look who it is, that's because the fans wouldn't know who he was,
Bingo.
right? But the fact that they did it that way shows me the level of attention to detail that they're willing to go to make you invested in somebody without having them squash somebody in the ring, right? That's one dimensional. You want to get somebody over like Omos. Omos had a match. He squashed two guys. They got to rebuild him as a monster again. Put him in squash matches. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Mhm.
But
That's
if
exactly what I was thinking.
we're going to be a sports entertainment company, let's take this to a different level. They sat there and teased that whole thing all night. My mind was going everywhere, trying to figure out what was going on. I swear, I thought it had something to do with Sasha and Naomi. I said, I'm calling it now.
I ain't know
Sasha
nothing
Naomi,
about it.
bruh.
Because I missed the first hour, and then I turned my phone off because I didn't want to see anything,
Mhm.
and I just kind of caught up with like when I came in, I was like maybe like an hour and 20 in. So I just went from there, and then I was like, Loomis, all right, hold on, let me go back because I was gonna rewatch it anyway.
Yeah, man,
on
we
demand.
talked.
Yeah, but I was like, dang, it makes sense. It makes sense with his character,
Yeah.
that mysteriousness, and so it's like, look, even if you don't know who Dexter Loomis is, now you're gonna go back, check
Big
him
time.
out
Big
in
time.
NXT, and be like, oh, put two and two together. Like, look, oh, that's him. Oh yeah, it makes sense now because he's like some crazy stalker type guy.
There you go. And
Mhm.
and that's how he introduced a new character to television.
Come on, bro.
Like Triple H has like, yo, I got the main roster and all these weapons. I got how many writers? I usually got me. It's usually me, Road Dogg, and HBK. I got 10 writers now. Like somebody pitched that and said, let's do something out the box. Let's not just have him do a regular debut, like come out to the ring, I'm Dexter Loomis, or have a squash match and introduce a fan. And usually we get people introduced in a wrestling capacity, right?
Yeah.
It's a wrestling match. New guy, squash the guy. 1, 2, 3, Matt. They literally sat there and messed with us all night. Because guess what? We still don't know why. We don't know what the heck happened backstage.
Mhm.
We don't know why the car was crashed. We
Yep.
don't know how he got like there. I'm so blown away that they really took somebody that I cared nothing about, and they immediately made him interesting. And once again, another former NXT guy
That's what they did for me on SmackDown.
closed the show.
Oh,
That's how it ended. I'm like, Triple H is on a tear right now. When I say Triple H is rewriting the wrongs, just like Michael Jordan said in his Last Dance, when they turned to 2.0, I took that personally.
Mhm.
When they cut this kid, I took that personally. Like that was always a running gag. That's what all the Michael Jordan memes you've seen from the Last Dances, and I took that personally. I'm literally watching Triple H go, no, I was right about what I was doing. You just didn't give me a chance to do it. And now he's like flipping the world on fire. But
Look
that
at
was
me, Dad. Look at me.
and that's the whole point of, wait a minute. If Triple H is doing that for a character that I didn't know nothing else about, what's going to happen when Johnny Gargano wants to come back? What's going to happen with Sasha, Naomi, and all this rumors and stuff going on?
No. How about your boy?
Who's that?
Kevin Owens.
Oh my God.
Well, that's who we're moving into next, because on the sheet it says the return of Kevin Owens is the Ezekiel storyline over, and it's the return of Elias.
I hope so.
And I love the way it had to be Kevin Owens to put Ezekiel to bed.
It had to.
I said it last week. Brian H. I don't want you to elaborate. I want you to get, because we didn't get your 2 cents on this, so I want you to jump in. We talked about this Ezekiel.
Slight flex. My bad.
No.
we were on the show, and I said, brother, you know, I text you guys. I said, hey man, I haven't seen Ezekiel in about a week and a half. What's going on?
You did say it.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. That storyline has Bruce Pritchard and McMahon written all over it.
What? Yes, it does.
From the storyline to the gear, bro.
So Kevin Owens comes out, right? Brian H. Talk to your people. Kevin Owens comes out and immediately goes back to NXT Kevin Owens.
Yes.
Hey yo, Kevin Owens is vicious.
Yep.
Like he power bombs this dude, right? On the toughest part of the ring apron. He first of all, he did it to his best friend Sami Zayn. Nobody
stands a chance.
Nobody's safe. Like I was confused. Like, they give us this match. I'm like, wait a minute. Did this match kind of have a build up? What is supposed to go somewhere? Match. He tears him up. Boom. Immediately Ezekiel's written off TV. I'm like, okay. Are we looking at the return of Kevin Owens? Because Kevin Owens cut a promo later that night. Once again, during this promo, we see a lot of backstage shenanigans going on. And trust me, we know shenanigans when we see it because we're the kings of it. Right?
Yep.
Kevin Owens made a statement, Brian H. He said, enough is enough. There's a new regime in town. And if you think that everybody's going to jump in the wagon without me getting my turn, no, this is going to return to the Kevin Owens show. Right.
This is the guy who handed him the WWE Universal Championship.
There's a lot of history to unpack with Kevin Owens and Triple H. Like you said, he turned on Seth Rollins for freaking Kevin Owens. So he goes to show you
draft pick.
His number freaking 1 draft pick. So Brian H., talk about the return of this version of Kevin Owens, and is this whole Ezekiel foolishness finally behind us? And do we see the return of Elias with new gear? It doesn't matter if he looks like Macho Man Randy Savage. Talk to me.
Yeah, we definitely getting Elias back. And I like what WWE.com has written. What was supposed to be the final chapter between the venomous Kevin Owens, KO, and Ezekiel turned into a nightmare for Elias' younger brother. Okay, think about this. They put Elias' younger brother in that for a reason. He's coming back, but KO is on his way to being the Kevin Owens that Triple H wanted from the jump.
And what Kevin Owens is that? Tell the people.
Like you said, the one we saw in NXT, the one that was WWE Universal Champion.
Describe who that person is, though. Like we got history with Kevin Steen.
I was just about to say, look, I didn't see Kevin Owens. I saw Steen. I don't know
kill Steen, kill.
He was the first crossover NXT star. So this is why the people have to be educated, Brian H. You got to go deeper, because
break it down.
They did not acknowledge anything developmental before Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens showed up for the first time with the NXT title. Kevin Owens sat there and stepped to the United States title and challenged John Cena in the United States Invitational. Kevin Owens beat John Cena in that match, and they had their mini feud fight, Owens fight. And then went back to while he was NXT champion. He was the first one. Why is this Kevin Owens that much more important than the Kevin Owens that we've gotten for the last 4 or 5 years?
I mean, well, you just said it, because before he was just floundering. He's going to be doing this guy and this. Excuse me. He's going to be wrestling this guy, that guy. But
you see,
my bad, it's shenanigans. But the thing is, like you said, for all that you just said, right? It was a reason. It was a reason that this guy was the first crossover NXT star, and it worked, because when he showed up, he wasn't just like, okay, well, who, because you could just put anybody, but when he came out there and beat up John Cena, he looked legitimate. The fact that he was able to come in and do that power bomb on John Cena, and you got the little video with his son said, "Oh, he's beating up John Cena." To do double duty at NXT Brooklyn and Takeover Brooklyn and SummerSlam that year.
Yep, one of my favorite matches of all time, by the way.
Facts. Lets you know, like, okay, this is somebody that they're invested in. This is, like I said, this is what they purchase. Not the person, not the face of America, not the guy, the best friends with Chris Jericho. This is what they purchased. And right, like you said, that promo he cut lets you know, oh, he's back. It's a reason why Kevin Owens, granted, it might have been like, okay, we want you to sign, we'll give you what you want, we'll put you in the match with Austin. But at the same time, he still had to deliver, and he did. He delivered with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So it's a reason why they put him in that position. It's the reason why Stone Cold Steve Austin would want to work with him.
Yeah, that's also big praise. Yeah.
Last match, maybe, because Austin said, like, he liked it. He might come to Hollywood, but for we know, last match, it's the reason why Stone Cold Steve Austin wanted to work with him. And when I saw this, man, this got me excited. That was probably like one of my favorite parts on Raw. And like you said, for him to go out there, not just beat him up, throw him in. Shout out to Reverend Ron Hunt. Not only was he on there as the EMT, but he also got a line in. Hey, man, we got you. Shout out to him.
Yeah,
but
big Crocs.
Hugh, did you verify was he wearing Crocs or not? I know.
Oh my god!
I just want to know, as a medical official, I know sometimes they do wear Crocs. I didn't know if he did or not, brother. Hugh, you mentioned it. I just need verification.
I checked the footage. I didn't really see him wearing Crocs.
No, sorry, Brian.
See, but I mean, but you got to remember too. You got to go backstage too. So.
So we don't have a backstage account, do we?
It's a show. Okay. So when you got a uniform, you put on the regular shoes, and when you go out and do what you got to do and say your little line, and you come back out and you put those Crocs on. So
somebody just said shout out to Crocs. See,
that's right.
Oh, come on, yo! Like seriously,
we had to verify, brother. No,
it's Crocs every day,
all
day.
Goodness gracious! But anyway, the fact is, like you said, just from doing that power bomb on the hardest part of the ring.
That's like his freaking. That's like his calling card. That's when evil Kevin Owens is back. When he does that to somebody, it's like evil. Like you said, brother. Kevin Steen is right. Exactly. Kevin Steen is back. He's killing people again. Sheesh.
And look out, man. And then he had that smirk. Like if you look on, he had that smirk. Like get out of here. Man. I'm excited for this. This is the Kevin Owens I wanted to see.
Shout out to Kevin Owens.
Shout out to Fam. I got a pair of Crocs for you on deck.
Wow.
Look, there it is. Fam said shout out to Rev Rondo. That's dope. Because that's funny because I saw all black wrestling Twitter like buzzing when they saw him. I was like, oh, step to this.
Hey, man, we're gonna rise for our own, bro.
Now you already know what it is, though. As we should. Solidarity, power to the people.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely we're going to see the return of Elias. I think it's obvious that Elias is returning to Avengers, brother. I don't know if this is the end of Ezekiel, but I sure hope so. Yeah. But one thing that you mentioned that it's obvious that Triple H has this strong connection to his products, the people that he believes and trusts, and Kevin Owens is one of those people. But another one of those people who are benefiting as we continue with the theme of righting these wrongs and the rebuild of stars. Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa has like 9 lives in wrestling because he held on long enough because he could have easily spiraled. Like they got to Butch, you know what I mean? They got to everybody else. Like Bobby Roode didn't translate, which I expect him to be glorious sooner than later. I expect the glorious to return.
That's what I'm hoping for.
But Tommaso Ciampa was like he was kind of, they were in a mix and then kind of a fly on the wall, and it was like, man, and then everything happened. And I was like, Tommaso Ciampa, you were hitting good time. He didn't leave. He didn't go anywhere. A lot of other guys are not going to get the opportunity that Tommaso Ciampa has had because he kind of stuck around. And I mean, if you could catch lightning in a bottle, he goes from being on main event and just being like a fly on the wall to being a prominent figure in like 2 weeks, a week and a half, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He's talking more. Something he did next. He's getting a chance to showcase his personality. He's paired with the Miz, top guy. Period. Tommaso Ciampa challenges for United States Championship, which I was already excited for because I was like, this dude goes from being a curtain jerking and then a lackey to all of a sudden, once again, as long as you're in contention for a title. He talks about his connection with Harley Race. He talks about him being his trainer and him being the first United States championship and how much that important to him, even how he dressed in his attire, he came to the ring. I'm not a fan of the colorful Ciampa outfits. I like the simple, evil looking Ciampa outfits. They're kind of dark and maniacal, but I understood why he was doing it, as he was kind of paying homage to something Vince McMahon probably would have never let him do. You know what I mean? But to see him do that, you say to yourself, man, this guy has come a long way, even in the short amount of time he's been on the main roster. But and just having Triple H there, he's already a household name just that quickly. But there was a lot of things that happened with Tommaso Ciampa. One, he shined in this loss, and I need to get your brother's opinion on the situation. He shined in a loss.
He did.
He went in there, he worked his tail off because he did multiple things, and this is not easy to do in the wrestling business. Not only did he shine in the loss, he shined in the loss. He did the honors to Bobby Lashley. He made Lashley look strong. Right,
very strong.
Like Lashley, that's probably the most dominant he's looked like, because one, he didn't physically dominate him. He outsmarted him. He tried to cheat. He tried to pull the ring off, and even when Lashley got hit with it, there was this story of up and down. Like they told a story in the ring. They told a story of struggle and progress, of gaining momentum and losing momentum. And
the little evil guy tries everything to take over the Almighty. Take down the Almighty,
and then the Almighty has to scratch and claw to overcome all these little things, and eventually he did. I'm like, bro, we just watched an epic. That's the Epic of Gilgamesh. Not necessarily so, but that's what my wrestling matches on that level with the storylines are supposed to be, full circle, right? The difference between Triple H and Vince McMahon, Triple H worked hand in hand with the Tommaso Ciampa, so he trusts him. And I remember one thing we say about Tommaso Ciampa all the time is he reminded me of Randy Orton in regards to how he can deliver these promos. When he goes into this kind of dark space, this maniacal thing, he can deliver these promos that have you think like, oh, this dude's really going through something, or he's obsessive. When he called the NXT title Goldie and how important it was to recover that, and even his first run before he got injured, man, you notice these things that you're like, oh, this is going to translate well to the main roster. But because he's not as, I don't want to say he's a smaller guy, but he's relatively smaller compared to a lot of the other guys up there, but he's put on some weight. Triple H's connection to Tommaso Ciampa, as well as his connection to Harley Race. You know, the pedigree came from Harley Race. Have you ever watched Harley Race's moveset? He did a similar move that was very similar to the pedigree. Like it's dang near the same thing, but it's very similar to it, right? What does that tell you about how Triple H views the ones that he trusts, like a Tommaso Ciampa that's kind of floating around, and all of a sudden now he's in such a prominent spot, somebody that he trusts in this space in regards to his connection, that he got a chance to go out there and speak on Harley Race and his importance to the United States champion, as well as, once again, full circle, Triple H bringing prominence back to a mid-card title at the end of the day, and its importance.
Those video packages.
I was about to say, yeah.
That video package, you know, you can do a lot with a video package. And when you saw that and it took you to the history, it made you think we was due for a title change. But it was like, you know, we've been watching wrestling. They're gonna really put the title on right now, but they believe in him. So, but that's what I liked about it, because the match took me for a ride. You know, it took me for a ride. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. You know, I'm a root for Bobby, but if Bobby loses, I won't be mad. And it was one of those things when they went back and forth, and like you said, just watching, you know, the hills and the valleys of everything. Right. It made you. That's what the mid card title is supposed to be. It's supposed to be that those matches that take you for a ride, and then boom, you get your winner. You know.
Right, Brother Hugh.
Big fight feel. Brian said it earlier, man.
Yeah, I think that's the huge difference.
Yeah, it started from the packages, and literally, like, the match they put on was awesome. It was great. It told that story. It did its job. And like I said, I wasn't even mad that Ciampa lost. I wanted him to win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wasn't upset because, you know, Bobby Lashley has the belt too.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever.
He looked good, and I was very impressed. To me, it felt like a situation where it was like, okay, look, this is like you said earlier, when it came to the women talent, like, hey, look, this is your chance.
Trust.
Like, we're gonna give you, and they gave him plenty of time, right? It was a lot of time to it, and I was just like, I said, man, this is something that we haven't, seen in a long time, to see these fresh faces get time and kind of fit into what's kind of already there. And I think that's the biggest difference between Triple H understanding. He knows how to blend his guys. See, Vince seemed that if he didn't know, either he didn't know how to or he didn't want to, is because he never worked with them. Triple H is like on the front lines now, like, no, I know how to use. I know their strength. I know their weaknesses. I know what's best, and now I can incorporate that to what we already have. And I think the main roster benefits from it because now they're like, man, we got these fresh matchups, and what we're doing is not stale.
Facts.
And I think that makes the biggest difference, man. But it's when you look at Triple H's connection to Harley Race as well as Ciampa's, like I didn't know he ran that deep with Tommaso Ciampa and the Harley Race, but it was a nice touch because it was something they talked about on the bump the following, I guess whenever they record the bump. I don't know if it's that following Tuesday or whenever it goes up. But like I said, Tommaso Ciampa and Shayna Baszler were on that show, and I was like, I usually don't watch the show a lot.
That's how I know you involved in it. You invested.
Well, I was like, wait a minute.
All the wrestling.
Because I wanted to hear what they had to say. I was like, wait a minute. Why are they talking to Shayna Baszler and Tommaso Ciampa all of a sudden? And that makes the biggest difference, right? Another thing. This is why Triple H has me wired right now. Because after this whole Dexter Lumis thing, I'm like, the gloves are off. There's no telling what Triple H is going to do to keep our minds, to keep our attention, to throw us off, to keep us on this chair chasing this proverbial mouse, looking like Tom and Jerry, right? It's because there was something that was teased in the midst of all this stuff while we were watching this match. The day before or early in the day, Tommaso Ciampa had tweeted out something, and he put his little icons in the back of his tweet, and it looked a lot like one of the logos that Johnny Gargano has on his trunks.
I was about to say that, yeah.
And I was like, sure, okay, sure, whatever. They tag team partners. Of course, you always want to go for the guy. If you want to recruit a guy, you push his best friend, right? Because you want to say, look, man, look how we're doing him. You're next if you come back, right? Like, look what we're doing with your boy. Like, we want to do the same thing for you. Recruiting pitch, right? In the match, Tommaso Ciampa, in the midst of telling his epic story, he's struggling.
Yep.
He
pulls out the move.
He desperately puts Bobby Lashley in the Gargano escape. That's a chicken wing over the shoulder crossface modification.
They were in Ohio too, right?
Cleveland.
Isn't that his hometown? Gargano's hometown?
Yes, it is. He's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yep.
You see, this is the stuff I'm getting amped up. I was trying to be cool about this. This is exactly what the heck I'm talking about. Like you're messing with me, and I'm trying to chill. Like you've got me excited to watch the show because now I'm like, I like puzzles. I play Tetris and I play word games because that keeps my mind sharp. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm watching this like, okay. I'm catching, like, stop with the cryptic stuff because I know what you're doing because Triple H understands that meaning, right? And I'm saying to myself, okay, they're calling back Johnny Gargano. I mean, is this something that we're potentially seeing a tease, gentlemen? What say you? I don't believe in coincidences. That's certain things. Oh yeah, sure. That was too much.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels is tight with Johnny Gargano. Like that, they love him. They look up to him. We all know Shawn Michaels and Triple H's history. Because guess what? Because they're showing their documentary on DX's A&E joint Sunday is going to be bananas, which I love. I love you, A&E. I appreciate you. If you want to interview him, you can contact me at the.real.dwayneallen@gmail.com. So I can give my 2 cents. So if you want to interview, if you're watching the show, you want to interview me, by all means, contact me. But stuff like that to me is a big deal. You know what I mean? And like I said, when I look at like a Dexter Lumis, if you'd want to do that for him, I can't imagine what you want to do that for everybody else. And there's a few names that I'll throw around in a minute as we kind of wrap this up soon. But I saw something else, and this is for you, brother Hugh. This is where you shine. You ready? And shout out to everybody still hanging with us, man. We appreciate y'all. I told you we burned the midnight oil today. Like these shows, we got to get this stuff out because there's too much time in between. We get a chance to talk about this council style amongst the brotherhood. I saw something very different. It's this next thing I saw on Monday Night Raw is I was like, man, Triple H is also doing something. He is unlocking the potential of what we see in the ring. I saw a match between Dolph Ziggler and Chad Gable. And these bastards put on one of the craziest catch style like wrestling clinics I've seen in a long time.
I didn't see that match. I saw Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle.
Bruh. And I was sitting there watching like
that's what I saw.
I expected to tie up, right? And I expected the reversals. The catch. I knew we was going, all the transitions. But then they got up and they went at it again. I said, oh, snap. I said, first of all, these guys are two like wrestling mat legends. You got an Olympian and you got a college Hall of Famer, an All-American too. And I was like, for the first like maybe I guess 5 to 10 minutes was all straight catch style transition. I was like,
I loved it.
Train wrestling, bro. All that chain, like all that chain wrestling left and right. I was like, and they gonna let them keep doing. See, Vince would say, "All right, come on now," it's slapping, pause, and dance for the crowd. But I was watching it. I was like, "Yo, they're really letting them do all this stuff right now," and I was thoroughly entertained because, like, for at least the first 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 minutes of that match, it was all chain wrestling, all like catch can like. And I was like, yo, nobody realizes that, first of all, Cleveland, Ohio is where Dolph Ziggler's from, right? Yep. Him and The Miz. And I was like, yo, is Chad Gable from Ohio? Where's he from? I don't know if he's from Ohio, but the way he responded to that, man, who knows? Somebody tell us in the comments. And I was watching it, and I was like, yo, we've never seen this style of wrestling match in a long time. Like you
said.
Minneapolis, yeah. So he was where AEW.
That sounds about right. All those great wrestlers, they come from Minnesota.
Yeah,
Minnesota,
the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
Shelton Benjamin, Brock Lesnar, like even Sean Waltman, X-Pac, Jerry Lynn.
Yep.
Yeah, trust me, that's something about Minnesota, man. It goes to show you the wrestling culture, a lot of the talent of this guy. It's probably, I'm sure it's quite a few we've missed, but to see that match. And then they went into the regular WWE stuff. I was like, well, god dang.
It took me back to the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yes.
It's like when you had in the WWE show, you had like so many different styles. Of wrestling.
Yes. You dropping gems tonight, brother. You had
just strictly your entertainment, which was your Rock, your Austins, your mainstream stuff. Then you went down and you got into your technical nitty gritty with your Dean Malenko's, Perry Saturn's, the other guy that I won't mention, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle.
And even before that, you had Dan Severn and Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock.
Come on.
Steve Blackman.
Yes. And then you had even to the hardcore division.
Yep.
Back in the day in Attitude.
Absolutely.
That was something different. And you had a bunch of mid-card guys that were doing their thing that uplifted that division.
Absolutely.
And it's just, man, it was a beautiful thing to watch, man. It was just kind of like it took it back for me. Like I remember it kind of reminded me of the days when I used to sit in the basement, the big box TV. And
you had good.
Yeah, man. The big box TV, and we sit down there, me and my little brother Dathan, shout out to him. We used to just sit down there and watch Raw, SmackDown, or whatever, and just go crazy over stuff like that, man. It was good. Yeah, Hooven too.
hey, brother Rod, hey, Uncle Rod, why you spell it like that, bro?
Man, I really hate that man,
bro. Yo, put that on the screen, because everybody who will go back and watch this got to see that, yo.
Bro. This is how you spelled it. Guerrero. That's perfect. No, but he's absolutely right though. Like Juventud Guerrero, Billy Kidman. I needed that. Thanks, brother Ross. That was a good one. But yeah, man, it shows you, it goes back to what we talked about earlier in the show, was that you don't know what you're missing until you see it again. You're like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. We've been so like conditioned and like forced to kind of like participate in like wrestling showcases, match, instead of getting this versatility in the different styles of matches, or allowing guys to work their styles and not being intimidated. Well, don't wrestle that style because it's going to make this person look bad. It was not like, well, have trust in whoever your top guys are, that they're going to perform regardless. You know, Eric Bischoff, his approach to the cruiserweight was so nonchalant, but it was never a situation where you felt like he said, well, don't do that because you're going to outshine the NWO. In his mind, he was so arrogant. He was like, well, nothing's going to outshine the NWO. So go out there and do your best. It doesn't make a difference anyway. I need to keep the fans happy because Hogan's not coming out for till the end of the night anyway. And we got some of the best wrestling that we've never, been able to receive again because of, Vince McMahon's style of, holding guys back. And a good example is that same energy we saw the Cruiserweight Classic. We didn't get a chance to see in 205 Live because we were told that they had to dumb down and work a different style. I'm not in the business, so it's not my call to say whether that was the right thing to do or wrong thing to do. But to me, it seemed like, well, if they're going to be in their own show, it's a show that's going to be on the network. What difference? Doesn't matter what they do. They're not going to outshine. But I guess if you want to cater to the live audience and you want them to be, alive for, whatever matches you have, you don't want somebody outshining. But at the end of the day, everybody should step their game up in regards to the product, right?
Yeah, real quick.
Mhm.
I got a gear question.
Mhm.
X-Pac with his looked like it's black and orange, but black and red when he was with Kane.
Okay.
Did you like it? It was like right post DX 99, him and Kane versus Undertaker Big Show. And he had like it's like that oranges red stripes instead of in the green.
I only liked it because it matched Kane. And at
Yeah,
that
was
time,
it the same style? So had DX in the front, or was it the?
Yeah, it was the same exact thing, just a different color. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no beef with that. I was okay with that. The only time I didn't like his gear was when he changed it when he was part of X Factor. With,
gosh, I hated X Factor
with Albert and
Just
Just
Incredible.
Incredible, and also when he went to the biker shorts.
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
I forgot all about that stage.
His NWO run, and then like even when he went to TNA, his first TNA run, he was wearing biker shorts. I was like, come on, X-Pac, go back to what we know and love. But that's those, But yeah, man, it's good to see guys be able to wrestle certain styles on the show because it's different. It's just a change of pace. You know what I mean? Especially if you're trying to fill time or you're trying to put together a 3-hour show. You want to keep giving people the same thing over and over again. But I thought that was a breath of fresh air. And like I said, to see Dolph Ziggler, a veteran who's still that good, get showcased, but also see Chad Gable. They let Chad Gable loose. And I'm like, once again, if this is how Triple H is running things, man, I can only imagine what he's going to do with so many other people.
What's in store for Otis though?
I mean, I think he plays his part. You know what I mean? He's a guy because he'll always be he's the tree trunk of the group. And this is another thing I'm noticing with Triple H is that he's not forcing tag teams to be tag teams. We saw Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins start the show, but it wasn't a tag match. Like it was one brother had a singles match and his tag team partner happened to support him in that match, right? You don't always have to break tag team because they did it. They've done it with the New Day, right? They're still the New Day, but when one guy it's his time to be the guy, the other ones either do their singles run or they're tag team guys. It don't always have to be we're a tag team, then we got to break up as a tag team to do singles. No, it's not always.
Big E said that the other day. Exactly what you just said. He said, "Why do they have to break up? Why can't they be like us?"
And that's the whole point, though. And I'm like, well, that's sometimes, and I like that because that's how you keep your story. That's how you keep your tag teams involved, or you keep guys together. But you don't have to say, okay, well, they got to break up and be a singles guy. Nah, let them stay a tag team. It just one guy got to take a back seat while the other guy gets a push. You know what I mean?
Let them Wu-Tang it.
And it's to me, I have no problem with that because, like I said, because it keeps your talent relevant without having to be you're a tag team. So we're not having a tag team match tonight, so you can't be involved in the show. Like that's what they've done with the Viking Raiders. But when you have guys that can talk, guys with personalities, like New Age Outlaws is my favorite tag team because they weren't stuck at each other's hips. Like Legion of Doom was stuck at each other's hips. You know what I mean? Like you can't separate those two guys without it being a thing. The Dudleys tried it in WWE, it didn't work. It worked in TNA, I guess. You know what I mean?
Kinda.
Yeah, like sort of give or take. You know what I mean? But it's like certain guys just belong together, and other guys are good enough where they can kind of do their own thing and still be separate entities and still be a tag team. You know what I mean? And when you see that, it's like, well, Otis can be in a prominent feud, or Otis can be the muscle. You see what I'm saying? There's two like. They can be in tag matches and challenge for the tag titles, or he can be his muscle, his bodyguard, he be his heater because he's a bigger guy. And it's like to me, they're unlocking the potential of what they can do creatively with people and keep them involved. Same thing we saw with the women without it having to be so strict. You guys are a tag team. Okay, so you're not in the tag team title picture. So go sit in the back to figure out what we're going to do next time we need another tag team. It's like, well, let their personality show. Put them in matches. They don't have to be so rigid in regards to how you book them and creative stuff. But as we wrap this up, man, one of the things that I enjoyed also was just flat out top guys main eventing. Like AJ Styles versus Miz I was like, oh, this is really good. Like they main evented Raw. It wasn't no Roman Reigns. It was no title. It wasn't even Bobby Lashley and Tommaso Ciampa for the United States Championship. Two top guys. Like I love the fact that AJ is that involved.
Yeah, that's your guy, man, and to be able to get that going,
like yeah, that's like I'm elated that he's like, I had enough of Miz. They've been teasing him versus Miz for a little bit now, right?
Yeah.
Because
right before SummerSlam.
Because he's been saying, look, man, I don't like the Miz, but if you're gonna shut his mouth up, then by all means, I support that and that's all he needs, right? So he's been beefing with Ciampa, he's been beefing with Miz, and it's a community thing. Because even in the match with Miz and AJ Styles, as they close the show, Tommaso Ciampa came back and got back involved again. I said, you get 2 Tommaso Ciampa sightings in a freaking show, and I was like, yo, this is what it's supposed to be about. And I was like, yo, this is old fashioned, top guys main eventing, and then you close the show with the whole situation with Dexter Lumis. So it's like if a Roman can't be on the show, because Roman is all you need, you don't need anybody else, right? You find other ways to load up your plate, saying you don't have the main money maker, so let's make this part as exciting and let's fill it up, because we know we have enough pieces to get it. But it's like you're not being lazy with your booking, right? You're like, okay, we're gonna have these guys in the ring, and then we're gonna have this going in, and then we're gonna have Tommaso Ciampa come back, and then we're gonna have Dexter Lumis come in. Like, it's like, man, there was so much going on, and I was like, man, this is my main event, and I just had so much fun. Like I said, my guy, of course, I love Miz and AJ Styles. Even with Miz, like for instance, we talked about this with Gable and Big Otis. Miz has been kind of he had his match at SummerSlam. But he's not so rigid, like, well, I'm the guy and you're my heater. So now I can't, it makes no sense for me to be your cheerleader or your manager. Because for the night, he was a manager.
Yep.
Right? He was right there by Tommaso Ciampa's side, and he did all manager duties. He got in the way. He tried to interfere. And then guess what? He turned around and then main evented the match. I was like, yo, like I don't remember the last time we have seen that type of versatility. And I couldn't be more excited, because I'm just like, man, this is making this fun again, because we can have these conversations for 2 hours and 30 minutes every Wednesday, and in the group text and all those other kind of stuff. And if we probably did the show earlier, we'd probably be here for another 4.5 hours, because we really was, when it was really going on, we were really shooting on all cylinders and just all that kind of stuff, man. But
and you know what, we haven't even seen Theory yet.
Still,
I believe for personal reasons though, but
personal reasons.
We still haven't even seen Theory and how he's going to be
incorporated into all of this stuff, man. And it's just like, to me, they've got a fresh start with a lot of things.
Money in the bank. He could throw him in there with that Roman situation. Like, it's just so many options, man. Like, it's driving you crazy, man.
It keeps, like you said, it keeps the product fresh and not stale. And it keeps you interested, whether you like it or not. It's enough to say, I got to figure out. Like, I literally was like, rushing home, like, I gotta see Raw. Like, it's been a while since I've had that feeling. Like,
is Brian asleep?
Oh, looking like you're from weekend at Bernie's.
Right? I was like, what?
He dozed off in the chair.
I definitely did.
Oh, you stupid! Wiping his mouth. Weekend at Bernie's.
Hey, man.
But, come on, man. We burn the midnight oil, Brian. You gotta hang. I know
I'm good.
You've been jet set for a while, man. You got
I slept on my birthday like for a couple hours. Came home, the kids was like excited, and I was like, all right. And once after they got over the initial excitement, went back to their tablets. I said, cool, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, well, listen, sleep is important. But like I said, brothers, as we wrap this up, man, any last thoughts on we did the people a good justice tonight. We did them, we really dug in to what's it? I don't know if we can keep doing this every week though. So Triple H got to slow down. Because
we just cutting AEW off the show.
Yeah, like this. I tried, man, but they was like, bro, they took up the first 20 minutes of the show, and I was like,
now that we got that out of the way, as Steve Harvey said,
right?
Yeah, it was. I tried. I'm trying to, but this is I try not to make this about just WWE stuff, but this is whatever you got to go with what's hot at the moment. But
I mean, wrestling is booming.
We getting fresh storylines, we getting fresh matchups, we getting the perfect blend of what we all enjoy. And if you don't like WWE, there's plenty of other options. Like I said, there's AEW still doing some really good things if that's your cup of tea. And then you have so much. New Japan is still rocking and rolling. G1 Climax in the mix and stuff like that. There's a lot going on, man. But I didn't think we'd be here again. Where we'd be probably enjoying WWE as much. Like I said, it's been a blessing in disguise that Triple H is running the show now. one thing we used to always say about Tony Khan, and I don't remember which show we said it on, but I said, the worst thing that could happen for Tony Khan is if Triple H ever becomes in charge. I said, because then he's really in trouble. That's not the person you want to compete with.
You definitely did say that.
And that day has come a lot sooner. And AEW is
no, because he's competitive. He knew what it was like to compete. So he competed with his best friends. So nobody else stood a chance. His best friends was in the NWO.
Well, you got to talk about life experience though. Even if McMahon is not around anymore, like Triple H was around during that time. He remembers what that environment was. And there was a few quotes. There's a segment I want to add to these shows, but I think these shows are long enough as it is, called a quote this. What I was going to do was I was going to take a quote just that week from anything in wrestling, and we can dissect and jump into it. But one of the quotes I looked at was Eric Bischoff pretty much saying, like, look, AEW, for goodness, for love of God, is not competition to WWE. You guys are in the same industry, but it doesn't make you competition. He's like, if a mom and pop store opens up a pit beef place next to an Arby's, are they going to say we're in competition to Arby's? Or they say we're the same? And I was like,
same industry, not same thing.
Bro,
same industry.
Eric Bischoff
doesn't mean competition.
They showed up on that show. He must didn't like catering or something. Because after he came off of it, he been burying them ever since, and he been shooting he been swinging haymakers. Yo.
Well, Tony Khan started it because he kept
that's
saying,
true.
Because Tony Khan went out there and said, "Oh yeah, we're not gonna screw it up like Eric Bischoff did WCW." Eric Bischoff was like, "Wait a minute, I still was president of the most successful, the second most successful wrestling company in the history of the business, which is not a lie. There's never been any other. WCW is still the number 2 wrestling company in the world.
It was only partially his fault. You know what I'm saying? It turned him, sold him, you know. And the big wigs didn't want wrestling on the screen anymore, on the TV screen anymore.
And we could be seeing a repeat of history.
I was about to say, there's a once again fooling around with Turner and now in Time Warner now in charge of been in ownership of Turner Broadcasting with Warner and Discovery. I don't know if Tony Khan's kissing tail up there trying to get deals and stuff situated going on, but
he better be.
I watch it, buddy, pal.
I know we're wrapping this up, but let me ask you this question, gentlemen. I probably should have put this on the show, but I think I'm going to ask you now because we're kind of still here. So, what happens if AEW loses that TV deal? What does that? Because and I asked this specifically because I know that AEW is wrapped up heavily in TNT as far as their money, and I don't know how that correlates or relates to contracts, finances, and all those other kind of things. So what happens if AEW does not secure another television deal? Let me see if Brother Raj has anything to say, because he says we can like AEW. That's true. I agree with you, Brother Raj. We can like AEW and WWE the same. That's very true. I mean, that's by all means. But my question is,
AEW's our supporters be at WrestleMania and SummerSlam. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Huh?
I mean, the question is, what happens? Does that mean guys are let out of their contracts? Does that mean?
Yeah, because YouTube ain't gonna pay that much money,
right?
Ooh, that was below the belt Fridays. God damn.
I'm just saying
he's referring to AEW, dog. In case you guys didn't know,
they ain't gonna pay that. You want to see, in Fight TV, same thing. I don't see Fight TV having that many subscribers now. Maybe if they can get an exclusive deal with Hulu and Netflix, but still, I don't think it's the money like that. And they're not buying wrestling like that. Not a product that's not in competition, but just the same industry as the WWE.
Oh, bro, why you gotta talk like that?
Maybe he's dozing off them sunglasses.
Yeah, bro. Like,
I'm good, bro. I'm not sleepy.
He just hit us with the Barry White. Like,
why you hanging your head like this? Though you like, yeah, maybe it had to be for love. Yeah. That's just how it looks from my perspective. But yeah, gentlemen.
Hey, yo, hold up. Terry Reynolds is sitting up there trying to flirt with The Rock. She's supposed to be walking out there with Meat or Sean Stasiak.
His name was Meat.
Meat, boy.
Can you believe his dad was really Stan Stasiak?
I know, right?
Right.
That's crazy. He didn't turn out to be anything like his dad. No offense.
Nothing.
That's a show right there.
Yeah. Who couldn't cut the mustard? Second generation guys. But Uncle Ross, they would completely suck if they lose a TV deal.
Yes,
I think so too. Like I'm not.
We don't want that to happen. To be
I'm not.
honest.
Nah, I don't. No,
I'm not rooting for AEW to fail in any way, shape, or form because they've given us like Adam Cole. Like I appreciate AEW. I just struggle getting to that television. Like I like aspects of it, but that's not my. I don't know.
Highlight packages.
It's not connecting
Yeah.
me. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another reason. And like I said, we rant now. It's 2:30. We might push this to 3 hours. Listen to me.
Why not?
I watch freaking Matt
Why?
Hardy. I watched Matt Hardy. Look, Brian is tapping. He's tired. You guys got some shades on.
Yeah, he's tired. That's why
Nah, you got to burn the midnight oil.
I'm good.
Nah, he's like, why? Nah, bro. Listen, Matt Hardy versus Christian. I said two of my guys. Let me check them out. Oh man, Matt Hardy got chunky again.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
when you know
his hair's thinning really bad. I was like, bro. I say, like, what? Why do people leave WWE and get comfortable? Like sometimes I feel like the pressure of Vince McMahon keeps people like on top of their game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw this dude and I was like, bro, what's up with like Christian like $1 million, but I'm just like, Matt Hardy, god dang it, man, you a former world champion, get yourself together.
I just happened to walk downstairs and I saw what's her face? What's that girl's name? I can't remember her real the other name she went by, but Ember Moon.
Yeah.
She showed up.
Athena,
yep.
Right. She showed up. I was like, what? She a little okay.
Yeah.
And my roommate was like, yeah, man, it ain't WWE, man. Like you ain't gotta work out as much.
Yeah, they just I don't know. I guess I don't know if it's less pressure or what, but it's just I think the idea of knowing you're gonna be in front of 10,000 people like live and then like another millions of people at home.
Mm-hmm.
That pressure to just look your best and you know what I mean, it's always there because you never know. Like it's photos, magazines, videos, documentaries, footage, all that stuff,
media stuff,
all the media stuff. That stuff all plays a part in in everything that you do, man. But yeah, dude. I mean, fellas, once again, I appreciate you, brothers. We've done the people some true justice. We had
through the midnight train.
If anybody was gonna get all this stuff done, it had to be the Realm. But, any last thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap this up?
I'm just excited. I can't wait till Friday.
I'm excited for SmackDown. We get Shinsuke and freaking Gunther. I say, yo, this is going to be bananas.
Man, I tell you one thing I'm excited about is the watch time on this bad boy. Run them numbers up, shawty.
Yeah, this is what we do. This is kind of like, hey, we do what the heck we want to do.
Come on, Brian, YouTube. Sheesh.
Brian H. Welcome.
My bad. This material is taking me back to school days.
Yeah, bro.
He was like, hey, Brian H.
Mr. Ain't had no cable. I couldn't. You know I ain't see Raw. You know I ain't had no cable. I would use my source. I couldn't wait to get to school on Tuesdays.
That's what I'm saying. You, Mr. Brian H. came to me. He was like, look, did you see Raw? What happened? Boom, boom, boom. Yep.
But boy, when SmackDown came on, I was a part of the conversation.
You've been there, right? Thursday, Friday was lit, boy.
Yep, 8th grade, baby. Me, you, and the crew.
And that's the beauty of what we do now, because it's like you get to relive what we didn't get a chance to have. Like imagine if we were kids doing this before. Like you guys
Deborah coming out right now.
LeBron, he's still back in 90. What year?
99, baby.
99. Oh, that was the year. See, I used to not, but that was.
When Jeff Jarrett had your favorite music, the music you like from him.
Bro, I wanted him to come out. I wanted him to come out to that music so bad. You're not.
I was so mad when he didn't come out to that joint.
I said, "Come on, man, give me that sharp." That gives you hype. Like if Jeff Jarrett
Urban Cowboy.
Music, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's my favorite Jeff Jarrett theme.
That and then the other one that gets me up is the Godfather.
Oh yeah.
They both start off very similar.
Yeah.
Like
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson was that dude.
Hey, bro.
You gotta be a special type of genius to put together music like that for wrestling.
Talking about a composer. That was a composer.
I like watching like the behind the scenes videos where he's like playing it on the guitar.
Oh yeah.
I love watching this stuff. Yeah.
I say, Jim Johnson was a beast. He's that dude. All right, but ladies and gentlemen, we gotta get out of here. We'll probably still be on here talking, but like I said, we gotta wrap this up. You running over, but like I said, this is something we had to get out. So follow us on all social media platforms at The Wrestling Wrealm. Subscribe to our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube at The Wrestling Wrealm. Join us next week. Well, you never know what we get into next week. Like, what are we talking about next week? Only time will tell. It depends what the heck Triple H does. We may have special guests. We may not have special guests. You never know. You have to tune in. Same bat time, same bat place. And ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you next time. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Houston, we have a problem. Yes!